Pledge.
Right?
Paul, could you lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those suffering from the military conflict in the Middle East and worldwide. Thank you. Katie, the American Creed.
The American's Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, Diane.
Okay, we have four speakers this evening. Jackie Eaton. If you would please state your name and your address.
Hi, Jackie Eaton, 6 Redwood Lane. I heard the mayor will address this issue tonight, but I have this letter already prepared and ready to send out tomorrow, so I'd like to just read it. It goes, Dear Mayor Bass, New Milford Town Council, and Chief Ceruto, I am writing as a concerned resident and as a leader of ACT Local Northwest Connecticut to request clarification regarding the town of New Milford's policies and expectations when local officers encounter federal immigration agents. Recent public statements by Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection Commissioner Ronald Higgins and Connecticut Police Academy Executive Director Thomas Wydra have made clear that under Connecticut's police accountability law, officers have a legal duty to intervene when they witness any law enforcement officer, regardless of agency, using excessive force or violating an individual's constitutional rights. As Mr. Wydra stated, it doesn't matter what patch they're wearing. I am always grateful for our police. They've been great and communicative and supportive, so I'm forever grateful for that. But I just wanted to go on and ask what I've been asking a couple of times here, which is how New Milford would handle the following situations. If local officers are present on a call where ICE agents appear to be violating a resident's constitutional rights, including unlawful detention, excessive force, or denial of due process, whether, and that's one, and then whether our officers are trained and instructed to verbally or physically intervene to stop such conduct, consistent with the duty to intervene statute, how officers are expected to balance non-interference with federal agencies and their obligation to protect residents' rights under state law, and whether our police department has issued guidance or training specific to encounters involving ICE or other federal immigration agents. The recent national incidents and video evidence have raised serious public concern about the lack of de-escalation, coordination, and accountability in some federal immigration enforcement actions. Understanding how our local police would respond in such circumstances is essential to maintaining public trust and ensuring the safety and rights of all residents. So I and my group appreciate any information you can provide, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ari Rosenberg.
Ari Rosenberg, 6 Taylor Street, member of Town Council. As you may recall, last week I spoke about the need for more transparency at Town Hall. This week I want to address the value of bipartisanship. For those who don't know me, I have supported bipartisanship for as long as I can remember. For example, I worked very closely with former Danbury Mayor Dean Esposito when we established the Danbury Support Center together, and I cherish his friendship to this very day. A solid relationship relationship with Senator Harding and Representative Buckby. Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you recall how proud I was to offer the blessing at your first inauguration at the bandstand. And you may also remember that I introduced you as one of the nicest people in the whole town at a New Milford Refugee Resettlement fundraiser. Over the years, I've sent you many supportive emails thanking you for, among other things, stewarding the town wisely through the perils of the pandemic. And I've also thanked you more publicly on numerous Facebook posts. And Katie Francis, I've considered you a friend going back to 2015, since we served in Rotary together when I first came to town. How many times have I told you how much I value the work that you do through the United Way? And over the years, we've found ourselves aligned on many, many issues, and we've been able to work together. As a Democrat, I'm not ashamed to testify that I actually voted for you on more than one occasion in town elections. I've heard a lot of talk about how we're all on the same page and how we can win this if we all work together, but there are a lot of times it just doesn't feel that way. I had some criticisms in here that I'm going to skip for now, but I'm just going to jump to the chase. I'd like to propose that it would be in the best interests of the town if we actually did work together across party lines. And towards that end, I would like to extend an invitation to the mayor and every member of town council to join me for a brief little social gathering this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Housatonic River Brewery. The first 2 rounds are on me. No agenda, no politics, simply social. Let's just get to know each other a little better to build a little trust so that we can work together to serve the good people of this town. I hope that you join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ori. Next,
Thank
we
you.
have 2 Kates. We're going to start with Kate Losey.
Thank you. My name is Kate Losey. I came a few weeks ago to voice my concerns to this committee about the 4 South Avenue. I came a few weeks ago to discuss the issue of the battery storage facility that's been proposed in town, and I am here again to voice my concerns, because while this project is in pause, I would like everyone to know, the mayor, town council, all residents of New Milford, to understand that we have to advocate for a moratorium at a state level to protect our town from lithium-ion battery storage facilities. Passing a moratorium at any other level other than the state level will not protect us. The moratorium has to exclude lithium-ion battery storage. There are safe other alternative battery storage technologies we could contend. And the moratorium has to also include the consideration for appropriate siting in brownfields industrial settings to protect natural areas. It has been requested by our representatives, Representative Buckby and Senator Harding, that the mayor and each town council member reach out to the Energy and Technology Committee to relay the concerns of the town. So I am here asking each of you to please do that and to please help us pass the moratorium. We will need the governor's support. And so I am asking each of you and every single resident of New Milford, if you know someone who has the governor's ear, we will need it, because we are up against an uphill battle with this. This has already failed and not gone. This moratorium has already not gone to be passed, and it was stopped at the governor's hand. So we are in an uphill battle, and we need everyone on board, speaking of bipartisanship. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kate O'Keefe.
I have a very similar message to Kate. My name is Kate O'Keefe,
and I'm here on behalf of the New Milford Clean Water Coalition. Address is P.O. Box 1211, New Milford, Connecticut. And we respectfully request that the following questions be submitted to the town attorney for formal legal opinion concerning the February 8th, 2026 Town Council agenda item number 11 this evening. Discussion and possible action on the creation and implementation of a moratorium on utility scale BESS energy storage systems, lithium ion facilities in New Milford, including a timeline for implementation. Does a municipal moratorium on utility scale BESS facilities have legal standing under Connecticut law? And does it have the authority to supersede or limit the jurisdiction of the Connecticut Siting Council? If the answer is no, what is the intended legal purpose and practical effect of adopting a local BESS moratorium? Flatiron Energy has already communicated a pause in its Connecticut Siting Council application. Given this development, clarity regarding a legal authority, scope, and effectiveness of a local moratorium is essential to ensure informed decision-making by the Town Council and transparency to the public. The New Milford Clean Water Coalition has been working with state legislators to support the development of a proposed statewide moratorium on utility-scale BESS facilities to protect environmental resources and public health. Once drafted, this legislation is expected to be introduced through the General Assembly's Energy and Technology Committee, which, based on new information, is a correction to the prior email communications with you. A statewide moratorium by the legislature would be more than just a pause in permitting, but an opportunity to establish more robust regulations to be used as the basis for review of future applications. We respectfully encourage the mayor and town council to consider supporting the statewide legislative effort, as changes to state law appear to represent the most effective and legally sound approach to addressing these concerns. We would urge you to take the opportunity as well to provide testimony in Hartford, as your voice holds the weight of all of ours combined, and this would provide measurable impact to the proceedings. In addition, the proposed idea of a bill/amendment has been raised as a letter of intent with the Energy and Technology Committee. It reads as such: Senator Norman Needleman, co-chair; Representative Jonathan Steinberg, co-chair; Senator Ryan Fazio, ranking member; Representative Tracy Mara, ranking member of the Energy and Technology Committee. Dear committee leadership, because individual members may only propose bills of a financial nature this year, we would ask that the Energy and Technology Committee raise a bill to amend the general statutes to provide that no state agency or public authority shall consider, approve, fund, issue permit for, or construct or operate a battery energy storage facility until such time as the Commissioner of Energy and Environmental Protection establishes regulations setting minimum standards related to the protection of public health, safety, and welfare in such systems. Thank you for your consideration in this request. Sincerely, Stephen Harding and Bill Buckby. Now, we are respectfully requesting the mayor and the members of the town council contact the members of the Energy and Technology Committee in support of this legislation. In addition, we're requesting that you specify it be raised to the level of a public hearing for amendment or bill creation prior to February 19th, 2026. Thank you for your attention on this matter and for seeking public formal review on an issue of significant public importance, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Nate?
Thank you.
Can I just ask you to email that to the town council? There's a lot of information. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
I got it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Diane?
No, that's it.
All right. Katie?
Okay, so we'll start with items number 4A, sub 1, sub 2, and B from the consent agenda. I'd like to move that. Do I have a second?
Second. Thank you, Paul. Discussion.
So for the December 1st agenda, it says, referring to me, he asked if that meant a council member could unilaterally add an item to the agenda. And I would ask that you revise that to say, we asked if any town council member has the unilateral ability to bring anything for discussion at any meeting. That's the exact quote.
You're voting on something from the minutes of December 1st, 2025?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so do you have a copy? Does everybody here on the council have a copy of that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I just want to make sure because you're reading it right off.
Sure. So I would just rather use the exact quote because I wasn't really asking about putting an item on the agenda. I was asking about bringing something forward for discussion. I didn't use the word agenda. It's not actually in that section of the rules, and that's not what I was really talking about. So I would just ask to revise it to use the exact same words that I said, which is any town council member has the unilateral ability to bring anything for discussion at any meeting.
It should have been raised at the next meeting before the minutes were accepted.
The minutes haven't been accepted.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing right now.
The December 1st minutes did not been.
Correct.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a change to make
Okay.
to that exact same
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
My name is not included on the list of attendees. I was there.
Okay.
And I was mentioned as having seconded the motion.
And just as a reminder to everyone who might not remember back to that, wasn't that the meeting we had to just go through our dates that we
Procedures,
meet?
policies.
Procedures, policies, dates of
Dates.
our meeting? Right, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have some input. All those in favor with the amended input, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone. Okay, Katie?
Okay, so that means that we have approved all 4A, 1 and 2, and B, correct? Yes. Okay, and Paul, your second stands. All right, Mayor, you have mayor's comments next.
Thank you. I just had him a second ago here. First, a big, huge kudos and thank you to our DPW, our Park and Rec, the Milford Police Department, for all their hard work during these storms that we've had. A lot of them have come in on weekends and holidays. Big, huge thank you to them. You know, we had in some areas almost 3 feet of snow up on the ridge. And just a big, huge, lot of hard work that they've done and are continuing to do. We continue to push back on some of our streets already as we're due more snow. Going to get about an inch or two tomorrow night and could get a possibility of a larger storm Sunday afternoon into Monday morning, hoping that's not going to happen as our budgets are under severe stress, as Jack Healy told us all before, with salt and sand and work that's going on during all of these storms. We were very fortunate. It's a big thank you to Mike Boucher. He continued to call probably, Chuck, every other 10 minutes? I'm just exaggerating, but when it comes to getting the salt in that some towns don't have.
Yes, there were a lot of calls made, and there's definitely a salt shortage for a lot of towns in the state. We are stocked very well for this upcoming storms at this point, so there's no fear currently.
Also want to thank Scattercoke, PTO, Christina Reddington, and the entire PTO as they put on the Harlem Wizards show at the Milford High School, sold out event. And it was great for all the staff from all 3 schools that went there, actually all 4 schools that were there representing New Milford and playing the Harlem Wizards.
They played
So a
against
great
them?
time. They played against the Harlem Wizards.
There you go.
Representative Buckby was also there as well, and they allowed me to do the tip-off, so a big thank you to them for that as well. And also a big thank you to Deborah from the Northville PTO, Principal Gallagher, as they allowed me the opportunity to call bingo numbers with Officer Jake. And we had young Vincent, who was a big helper for us as well. And a big thank you to all students and parents that went there as well. Lanesville Fire Department renovation project continues. The contractor continued work on the fire suppression system. They did some installation of additional mains, as well as they installed some of the flexible heads in the business portion of the space. They also continued installing in-wall plumbing. They set and secured the shower stalls. The electricians were on site running in-wall and above ceiling wires and placing in-wall boxes. They also had another team of workers insulating the decking voids above the partition wall. Big, huge thank you to the Milford Athletic Director Keith Lipinski and the Milford Hockey Program. They expanded their roster to add more student athletes that aren't in New Milford. Other teams aren't able to field hockey teams anymore due to population. So New Milford has allowed students from Housatonic, Oliver Wolcott Tech, Northwestern Regional, and they added Evan Burgess, Cam Gannon, Tyson Godin, and Luca, I'm mispronouncing his name, I apologize, Bassetta, all into the hockey program. It was great hearing from some of the parents of how, just continue to let these athletes play the sport they love. So big, huge thank you to, the hockey coaches and athletic director Lipinski. So big, huge thank you. Congratulations to Village Crest Center for Health and Rehabilitation. They recently earned the Skilled Nursing Facility Heart Failure Certification. That's offered by the American Heart Association. And the certification is an evidence-based framework for evaluating skilled nursing facilities against the American Heart Association's rigorous science-based requirements for heart failure in patients. Big congratulations to the Milford High School wrestling team. They were ranked number 6. They may have gone up a little bit last week in their Connecticut Wrestling online poll. That time they had a 7-2 record. Big congratulations to the Milford High School Winter Color Guard. On their promotion, they went from Scholastic AA class to Scholastic National A class. That's a big, huge move, and it's due to all of their super hard work of what they do, so big, huge congratulations. Some events that are going to be coming soon to New Milford. February 12th at Pettibone is the Art of Sound Meditation from 6:16 to 7:15. Valentine Craft Workshop, February 13th, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at Pettibone. Thank you to Park and Rec. Also on February 13th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Pettibone is the Floral Design Workshop. February 13th, Singo Bingo. This is to benefit the New Milford Youth Baseball and Softball programs, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Max. Winter's Farmers Market. These are on every Saturday. They're from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at St. John's Church. February 14th, I believe there's a couple of seats left for the basic boating class. It's going to be held at Pettibone from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Once you complete this, you get the certification so you can actually drive a boat on our lake and waterways in Connecticut. DEEP will be there. February 14th, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Village Center of the Arts is Dirty Date Night. February 14th at the New Milford High School is the Band and Color Guard Winter Show. It'll be a great, great event. If you haven't been there, it's great to support our wonderful band and color guard and percussion. February 19th, 8 p.m. at Theater Works, The Shark is Broken. That's the senior performance. So if you're a senior like myself, you get a chance to get in at a discount. They may be sold out, but they also have their regular ones on February 20th and 21st, 8 p.m. at Theater Works. Shark is Broken. If you remember Jaws, that's talking a little bit about how Jaws, the background of it, exactly. We also have February 21st, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Village Center of the Arts, Women, Wine, and Wheel. Also, Village Center of the Arts, 6:30 p.m. on February 21st, the Studio Affair. And then on February 26th, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Lawyers in the Libraries. These are scheduled 20-minute sessions. They're free. So if you have a legal question, there's wonderful lawyers that give their time and volunteer. It's at the library. And again, you can contact the library and get scheduled their 20-minute sessions. On February 27th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Pettibone is the 2026 semi-formal Sweetheart Dance. Aww. Thank you to the Girl Scouts for that. And that's what I have, Katie.
Well, sounds very good, except you're not a senior, are you? Going to try to get into the seniors?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, on to item number 6. I would like to move to suspend the rules to add an item under number 6, which is to add a name that was left off for the Library Board of Trustees, Kathleen Marr of 10 Heacock Crossing, same time frame.
How do you spell the last name?
Excuse me?
How do you spell the last name?
M-A-H-E-R. Marr.
And she is was a
alternate. She's an
for
alternate
library
now,
board
and
trustees.
she's moving up to a full seat. And she's a R.
So we have, you seconded it, Paul?
Thank you, Paul.
So for amending the agenda, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay, all right, so we'll go back to item 6, and I'd like to move the following reappointments. We'll start with the Alarm Appeals Board. That would be James Corbett, term of February 1st, 2026 through January 31st of 2030. The Fair Rent Commission, I'd like to recommend Christopher Ludwig for his term from February 1st to January 31st, 2029. The Housing Code Enforcement Committee, adding Christopher, these are reappointments, Christopher Gardner, and he would be February 1st, 2026 through January 31st of 2028. Housing Partnership, Christopher Ludwig and Joseph Baker, terms February 1st, 2026 through January 31st, 2028. Library Board of Trustees, adding, these are reappointments. Jennifer Kramer, Paul Partlow, Christopher Fisher, and Kathleen Marr, terms of February 1st, 2026 through January 31st, 2030. Sewer Commission, John Learson, term of February 1st, 2026 through January 31st of 2030. Traffic Authority, Konstantin Prokos, February 1st, 2026 to January 31st, 2030.
Yep. I think Rolando, you did the second.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, I'd like under item 6B to move to approve for Parks and Recreation. This is a new appointment. Joseph Pinozzo, his term would be February 9th, 2026 through January 31st of 2030.
So moved.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? And Joe is the president of the New Milford Youth Baseball and Softball Organization.
Yes, he is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay.
And
Item number
Katie-
7.
and Katie, before
Yes.
we move on
Yes,
to the
sir.
public library, I see the
Okay.
chief is now here.
Oh, he is.
And
yes.
during Mayor's comments, I was going to ask the chief and the lieutenant to come up and talk a little bit about safety for all of us. I know Mary Jane had asked to get kind of an update on law enforcement, how we work with other law enforcement and safety. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We really appreciate the opportunity to update you on public safety in our wonderful town. And I need to start by thanking our fine men and women of the New Milford Police Department. They do an excellent job, and they show up day in, day out to provide for the public safety in this community. Not only that, but work with the community and really help the community. Our goal is to get to know our community before they need us, and then it makes the interaction just so much more worthwhile. I also want to thank you. We couldn't do it without the support of the council, and we really appreciate that support. But mostly, we couldn't do it without our wonderful community, and we thank our community. They help us so much day in and day out. The police can't do it alone. Who knows better what's going on within your neighborhoods than the community? Who knows better what is an important objective? What's important to the community than our community? So we need to listen and work with our community, and we're trying to do that more and more every day. So it is a safe community, and it's a safe community for all those reasons and more. We work hard to leverage technology. We're using rapid DNA. We're using facial recognition. We're using social media software that allows us to scan open sources and provide us with very important information and intelligence. We look at planning, and we really are trying to improve in all areas of investigative work that we do. It's a safe community. It's one of the safest communities in the state. And just some examples: burglaries on a decline, stolen motor vehicles on a decline, thefts from motor vehicles on a decline. And it just doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of all those reasons I mentioned. And when we do have a crime, our officers and our detectives investigate that crime. Very thorough, methodical manner, and they take it to the nth. Our officers will travel across the state to swab for DNA in a stolen motor vehicle. Our officers will watch for drug dealers, and when we see a drug dealer, we're going to take that drug dealer off. When we keep drug dealing low, we see that there's a reduction in other areas. There's a reduction in these burglaries and these robberies and these violent crimes. And any drug dealer that comes to town should realize that if you come here, we're going to find you. We're going to buy those drugs that you're selling. We're going to search your house. We're going to put you in jail, and we're going to put you out of business in this community. We don't want you here selling drugs in this community. It's been a pretty worthwhile effort. The detective lieutenant is with me here tonight to give you some examples of some serious crimes that we've dealt with over the last few months. And again, I just want to thank you all for your support. We couldn't do it without you, and again, we couldn't do it without the community support. So thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to introduce Detective Lieutenant Relier. She's been with our department for 20 years, a wealth of knowledge within our community, and her team of detectives do an excellent job. LT?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
First, I just want to thank the mayor and all members of the council for giving me this opportunity to talk about the great work our officers do year-round. I want to begin by saying that our officers report to work every day with one primary mission, and that is protecting this community. If you are not committing crimes, you are not our focus, but if you are committing crimes, you will be. Last year, our officers conducted over 4,000 motor vehicle stops. These officers are diligent in slowing speeds and preventing distracted driving, but their presence also serves as a strong crime deterrent. For example, in 2024, we had 24 thefts from a motor vehicle, and in 2025, that number decreased to 14, a reduction of nearly 50%. That's pretty good. I would also like to highlight a few recent cases handled by our patrol and detective divisions. In September of 2025, someone spray painted town and state property throughout the entire downtown area, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage. After an in-depth investigation, our officers identified and arrested the suspect who was responsible. He was charged with criminal mischief in the first degree, which is a felony here in Connecticut. In October of 2025, we arrested 2 drug dealers just outside the downtown area. During that investigation, we seized 4 firearms, 28 grams of fentanyl, and 7.5 grams of crack cocaine. The quantity of fentanyl seized had the potential to put thousands of lives at risk. This was a great collaboration between the statewide narcotics task force and our detective division. And just 2 weeks ago, we received a report of a stolen motor vehicle. Our patrol and detective division worked together to identify the suspect, and within hours had that suspect in custody. The reason why I'm talking about these 3 arrests is to reaffirm our commitment to protecting the quality of life in our community. Our department remains focused on holding drug dealers accountable, preventing overdose deaths, and protecting our residents' property. We are truly fortunate to work in a community that stands behind us, and I thank you all for your time and continued support.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much.
And Chief, can you talk a little bit about how you interact with federal law enforcement and how Connecticut state law interacts with that?
Yes, of course. Depending on what aspect of federal law enforcement you're discussing, we do have very strict guidelines. For example, in the area of working with immigration and ICE, the Trust Act is, of course, our guardrails. And the state has done a good job in setting that guardrail. They provide, obviously, this Trust Act for us to follow. Not only that, but if you remember a few years back, there was the Accountability Act where they have all officers now wearing body cameras, and everything we do is very well monitored, very well overseen, and very carefully undertaken by us. So how we interact is certainly in line with the Trust Act.
Mary Jane, do you have a question? Then Rolando?
Yeah, I just wanted to say there are people concerned at this thing that's been going on across the country. And people are being picked up by us here because they're black and browns. You're not even asking for ID or anything. And a lot of people have been asking, like, what would New Milford Police do if ICE should show up in our town?
Yeah. It would be very simple. We would follow the law. The Trust Act is very clear. We are allowed to interact in certain circumstances. For example, a Class A felony or a Class B felony, and those are very serious crimes. An example of a Class A felony would be murder. An example of a Class B felony would be a sexual assault with a firearm. So only in those two categories could we even consider working with them. So
if you saw ICE in town potentially arresting or trying to detain somebody, would you be able to go up and check out the situation?
again, we're always very concerned with what's going on with our community. And what we would do is use the guardrails that are set by the Trust Act.
Could you give us a copy of that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep, sure. Yeah, it's a very good law that's very specific in how we can help and interact.
And interact with them, yeah.
I just think there's a lot of misinformation about how that works, because there are people that are just misinforming the community. So for example, they'll go on social media and say ICE is here. They're not here like at a traffic light stopping people and asking them for ID.
Exactly.
That's what people, you really need to understand that. This is not, we see the cases, with the national cases that are going on around the country. That's not happening around here.
In Danbury.
It's not happening in Danbury. It is not happening in Danbury. It is not happening in Danbury. I guarantee you, there is no ICE coming to Danbury asking people randomly for their ID to arrest them. They're going out and getting people that have crimes, people that have committed crimes, and they're being removed. And that's what we want. We don't want criminals in our community. If you are for that, you really need to check yourself at the end of the day.
Excuse me, Jackie, wait, please.
So, Chief, with that, I say that if the federal...
I ask that they stop talking, let the gentleman finish speaking.
If you get a call from the federal agency saying, we are coming into your town, because I believe that's the way it works, right? If somebody's gonna come in and pick up a criminal,
yes, and I'm not aware of any situation such as
But
that.
I'm saying, if somebody would, the agency is gonna give you a call and say, Chief, so-and-so, we are gonna go pick him up. We have information that he lives at so-and-so. That's what they're gonna come here and do. They're not gonna stop at, Main Street. And
They may call us, they may not. They've been actually pretty respectful of the Trust Act also. They understand how Connecticut feels, and they understand this Trust Act. So we haven't been put in that position. I've been in law enforcement 39 years. I've never met an ICE officer. The detective's been in for 20 years, and she's never met an ICE officer. So very unheard of out here, but that doesn't mean they can't. But we really try to work on our relationship with the community. It's been one of our focuses for the last 7 years that I could speak of, and we work on that every single day. And it's very important to us to have a good working relationship with our community in all aspects of our community.
Anybody from the
Yes.
council?
First of all, I just want to say, Chief Cerruto and Detective Relier, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you and the whole force is doing for this town. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And every time I've had the misfortune to have to call the police department, you guys have really been very helpful and supportive, and I do appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you very much.
With respect to ICE this summer, ICE was definitely in Danbury going more than just people with criminal records.
Uh-huh.
There were newspaper articles about
Yeah.
that also, so I don't know what you mean about guaranteeing that it hasn't happened. It definitely did happen, but it's quieted down recently, and it hasn't been happening so much lately. But it definitely happened this summer, without a doubt.
Because they picked up whoever they needed to pick up. It's gonna quiet down once that's done.
Well, who's
Okay,
to
that was in
decide
Danbury,
whether
right,
they
Harry?
needed to pick them up or not? Because it wasn't due process is the issue, Rolando.
Harry, you're talking about what happened in
So
Danbury.
I am.
Okay.
any other questions for the chief and Lou?
Definitely not New Milford. I know of nothing like that
Yeah.
happening here
Thank
in
you.
New Milford.
Thank you all very
so
much. Thank you. Good night.
Appreciate the update. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay. Next,
Okay.
Katie, the New Milford Public Library.
Right, I would like to move, this is item 7, we'll start with that. I'd like to move to approve that the New Milford Public Library accept a donation in the amount of $50 from Linda and Robert McGuire Rin, I believe is how they say it. They received that January 27th. This donation will be used for library materials and paid programming, and it's sent in memory of Sandra Harter Anderson.
So moved.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Paul.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 8, I'd like to move that we approve the revision of the solid waste ordinance that reflects the proposed changes in HRA policies and regulations.
And we have Jen from HRA. Would you
Do
like
I
to
have a
come up
second?
and talk?
Second it.
Please, a second?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jen Heaton-Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the Housatonic Resources Recovery Authority. Thank you for having me this evening. My role is to support you and guide you through actually anything solid waste and recycling, but tonight it will be about the ordinances. Mayor Bass, do you want me to just go through the 3?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure what everyone has, and I do have copies of the 3 ordinances if you'd like me to hand those out. So what we're asking is 3 amendments to your current local ordinances, starting with voting. So a change in the voting structure of the authority. And so maybe for the record, for those who aren't familiar with the Housatonic Resources Recovery Authority, we are your Regional Solid Waste and Recycling Authority on behalf of 14 municipalities in Western Connecticut. So we're sort of your garbage and recycling department. And so you became a member of the HRA in the late 1980s, and you have a section of your local ordinance that makes you a member of the HRRA. And within that section, it talks about voting. And it talks about, and I'll tell you what section that is, it's 7-64. It was last updated on March 29th, 1989. And so what we want to do is move away from a weighted vote to a one town, one vote. And so I'm here to answer any questions regarding why we're doing that. At one point, the town of New Milford and all of our member towns had a financial obligation to the HRA. A put or pay contract was in place for 29 years that if you didn't make enough garbage, you had to pay the difference to the waste to energy plant where we bonded for our waste to go to. That contract ended in 2019, and we have a new contract with no put or pay. There is no financial obligation for the town of New Milford to be a part of the HRA. We provide services to you that are paid for through tip fees, not through tax dollars. So what we're asking is that every member at the table have one vote, an equal vote, rather than this weighted vote that goes from some towns only have 1, some have 7, New Milford has 11, Danbury has 32.
And Jen, I wanted to thank you for helping spearhead that, because I know when I first went to HRA, seeing where one town and maybe one smaller town could block or sway what the majority of the HRA may have wanted.
Yes.
So I know you said that you'd be working on it, and here it is, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's been a long journey, but here we are. So I'm visiting each member town to express my desire to see these changes happen and then to answer questions so that we can make sure that it happens concurrently and consistently, the language stays the same from town to town. So that's the first change, one town, one vote. In addition, it was actually back in 2017, and because of this change, the voting change, I didn't realize there were so many towns that actually didn't change their solid waste ordinances. So section, let's see, I'm sorry, I thought I wrote it down. Let's see, 7-69 is your solid waste ordinance. And that hasn't been updated since 1991. A lot has changed in the state of Connecticut regarding solid waste and recycling. And so we provided, on your behalf, HRA paid for legal counsel to draft new updated solid waste ordinances that align with today's regulations. And within that, there's another amendment on enforcement, a much needed amendment. HRA staff, we register and permit all the waste haulers on your behalf and all the members' behalf. We take calls and complaints from the public on your behalf, and we facilitate your household hazardous waste events, etc. But the one thing we don't have is authority, even though it's in our name. We don't have the authority to enforce non-compliant haulers. And first, I want to recognize that in New Milford, you have 26 registered and licensed haulers, and we thank them for their service and the work that they do. Every single resident of the town of New Milford makes trash every day. It has to go somewhere. And without those haulers, we wouldn't have that service. But unfortunately, currently right now, we have identified 4 businesses who refuse to register and be licensed in this town. And across our region, we have dozens. And what that means is you have businesses that are operating on your roads, working in your community, who have not been vetted, registered per state law, and we do not know if they have the proper insurance or if they're licensed to operate a vehicle. And unfortunately, and I hate to bring it up, but it's a fact, we've had 2 fatalities in our region in the last 5 years. One at our transfer station in Danbury, where an operator was run over by a hauler, and one here in New Milford on Route 202. We were very lucky that those 2 haulers were registered with the HRA and were insured. And the town of New Milford and the towns of HRA were added as additionally insured on those insurance policies, making less liability for the town. My concern is we continue to see more and more non-compliant haulers. I've been with the HRA for 15 years. Never in the last 15 years, but the last maybe 3 to 5 years, have I seen the increase of non-compliant haulers who refuse to register and be permitted. But I have no enforcement within my jurisdiction except you do. You as a municipality have the ability with your law enforcement or with partnership with HRA to give that and to provide enforcement for the safety of your residents. So there is a provision, an amendment that we've provided, and it basically has 3 sections that I'm just going to quickly make sure that you understand what they're for. The first section is about notice and communication, because it's not just like we're going to throw down the hammer. It's we're going to notify you. You're violating something. There's an allegation. We're going to communicate with you. You're going to communicate back with us. You can contest the violation. If they believe that they're not non-compliant and they're not doing something illegal, then they have the ability to ask for a hearing, and we'll provide that for them. Then if it is determined that they are in violation, there are penalties, and there's an enforcement process. And then the police do have the ability for citations and fees that would go to the town, not to the HRA. And there it even goes to the extreme of towing and impounding a vehicle if needed. We hope it would never go there. We hope in the first part of notification, notice of violation, and communication between the town and knowing that the person who we're working with now knows there's a law, there's a local ordinance that we can actually enforce, that they would come into compliance and work with us so they can provide a service to the community. So I hope that's helpful for an oversight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So for that first part about one town, one vote, what are they usually voting on in these situations?
Yeah, good question. We're voting on how to handle non-compliant haulers, how to handle the tip fee changes with the waste crisis. We produce 3.5 million tons of waste annually in the state of Connecticut. We have capacity for 2.7. So we are exporting over 1 million tons of waste out of the state currently, right now, because we lack the capacity to manage it within the state. We are right now discussing how are we going to move forward when our contract ends in 2029? How do we ensure that we keep your costs down? How do we deal with the market changes with the recyclables? We're seeing fluctuations that went as high as $129 a ton. So those are the issues. We're talking about cost, savings, regulations with recycling, extended producer responsibility, laws that allow the manufacturers to share the responsibility with us, the cost of end-of-life disposal. So those are maybe some of the high-end conversations that we have.
Katie?
Jen, we have a recycling committee for years and years here, as you know. So do the majority of towns have such an entity in their town?
No. You have an entity, and the town of New Milford has a recycling ad hoc committee that tends to be more active when there's issues that they want to change, but no other town really has a committee that
Okay, we have an ad hoc group of people?
Mm-hmm.
And who would that be?
It would be the recycling committee.
Yeah, that's what I say, that's us.
Yes.
It's only
Yeah.
one group. Okay, so, and we are the only town?
The town of Newtown also has
Oh, I
a
thought it was someone
recycling ad
else.
hoc
Okay.
committee.
So the haulers that are not appropriately set up, how long has that been going on?
Well, we've always had non-compliant haulers, but
Well,
we've been
these
able.
same 4 people,
Yeah,
you
those
said there
same
was 2.
people, and I'm happy afterwards to give this
Well,
packet to you.
could
So
you-
let me give you I
Oh.
have a sheet at the very back that has a list of the non-compliant haulers, those 4 haulers, and I'm happy to email you the history of how long
Yeah,
they've
that's
been.
all, you don't have to go into it tonight, but if you would, so that our committee can go through this and understand, so we stay atop of what's going on.
I would say briefly looking at it, one of the haulers that's on your list, they've been non-compliant for about 5 years.
Really?
Yes, and they actually, I would consider them a national business. They have an operation in many states.
Okay, so,
They're a junk hauler.
okay, so you want to send it through the mayor's
Yes,
office and
I
he'll
will
get
do
it to
that.
us? Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You're looking for us to
We have-
revise the ordinance?
There's another question, Ari? Someone else had their hand up.
Mary Jane?
No, I just want to say, these sound like really good changes. Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the next steps would be if the council agrees that Randy takes a look at all of the verbiage, we bring that back to the next meeting and make sure it dovetails and complies, or we may. Okay.
The ordinance is excellent,
Perfect.
well written, well drafted, and enforceable.
Okay.
Still provision as required. I think it's superb.
So then the next step would also be doing a public, what do we need to do, a public hearing? So we could set that
Can we
tonight.
get the recycling committee together so that we could see what, maybe I'll look at what you have, we'll take a look at it and see if we have any other questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
You can always add language. You can
Right.
always change things. We just
Right.
want to make sure it's at least the same, if not more.
Oh, no, I don't mean the
Um,
ordinance, I just,
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
yeah, good. No, we wouldn't change the ordinance. I just want to make sure we see
So,
all that.
Randy, we could suspend the rules to add, to set a date for a public hearing? Okay.
And would that be,
You could revise your amendment,
no, I'm gonna, just, let's amend the rules and add this. This is a good separate thing here.
Okay.
so you're gonna take your motion off and put a new motion on? You have a motion to have possible action?
Yes, I don't see that we need to change, we have it right here that she's done her presentation.
Yep, so
Why would we,
so the new one would be to set a date.
yeah, that's a separate motion.
Correct.
Yeah, so we've already,
Yep.
yes, we've already had item 8, it's been moved and it's been seconded, so we can vote on it, and then as we do with everything else, we can add on the meeting for what date?
I would say the first March meeting.
Which is March,
March 9th.
You're right, okay. Okay, so we haven't voted on 8 yet?
First, we have to, okay. So there was a, just to clean it all up, there was discussion, possible action to revise the solid waste ordinance to reflect the proposed changes in the HRA policies and regulations. There was a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any abstain?
I just had a question, really.
Sure.
So are we voting to revise the solid waste ordinance, or are we voting to set up a public hearing so that we can?
So now we're gonna be setting up the public hearing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so now you have to
So
suspend the
all in favor
rules.
then for item 8?
Yep, that's
Right,
already
So now I'd
done.
like to suspend the rules to add the date of March 9th, our first council meeting in March.
We're gonna, first we have to just suspend the rules to approve suspending the
That's-
rules.
Well, if
Okay.
I put what we're gonna, okay, fine, whatever.
Yep.
I just wanna
All
move to
those-
suspend the
all
rules
those in
to
favor
add
of
an item.
suspending the rules?
Yes, okay, good, okay.
Paul did.
Thank you.
Okay, or I'm sorry. Sal did.
And then we're gonna.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Good.
Now,
Now, we're gonna add to the agenda, it'll be item 13.
no, this will be 8, you can go
I
8.
didn't call it 8A, I didn't call it that. This is where we get into things being lost sometimes in the shuffles. So, okay, you wanna make it 8A, Mayor? I do what you
Yes.
say.
Thank
All
you.
right, so item 8A, that we will, this is to have a public, is it a public hearing?
Public
Yep.
hearing.
Public hearing on March the 9th regarding the ordinance of hurrah.
At 6:30 PM.
6:30? Okay.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Jen, thank you.
You're welcome. Should I plan to attend the March 9th meeting?
That'd be great if you could.
Okay, and would someone like the stack of copies?
Absolutely.
Oh, please.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take the pass one?
Yeah, I'll take it with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
You too. Next is,
Westcott?
yep, the presentation, and we have our Personnel Director, Greg Bolero, here, as he is our ADA compliance person for New Milford, and we also have John from WT Group and Mike from Westcog. And the reason for this is the federal government, which they're going to talk about as well, Department of Labor, as well as the state of Connecticut. There's an initiative for moving municipalities forward with ADA compliance and the initiative. And through Westcog, we received a grant that allows this a report to be done for the town council. So big thank you to you guys. And they're going to give the council an update on where we are. Guys?
Good evening. My name is Mike Wilson. I'm a senior planner with the Western Connecticut Council of Governments. As you know, Westcog includes 18 municipalities in this part of the state. We are always on the alert for ways to improve the quality of life in the region. As you also know, the ADA regulation and legislation are an unfunded mandate, requirements without resources. In the summer of 2024, it struck us that ADA transition plans were an ideal regional project for 3 reasons. They fulfill a genuine need. The subject has region-wide applicability regardless of a municipality's size or population. And there are economies of scale in doing several plans at once. So Westcog assembled the resources to engage a consultant with the specialized expertise in this field and interviewed 6 firms. WT Group rose to the top, and we have been working with them for 1.5 years now. Transition plans have been completed in several communities in the region, and 16 out of our 18 communities are working with us and WT Group. The other 2 have already completed plans on their own. And now it's New Milford's turn. And with that, John will present the details.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mayor Bass and members of the council. My name is John McGovern, and I lead the accessibility practice at the WT Group. And we're excited to be here, and thank you for giving me a little bit of time for the presentation. What I will briefly cover is a little bit about our process. I think when people hear the Americans with Disabilities Act, they think about brick and mortar issues, but it's really importantly about programs and policies as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the guidance from the federal government regarding how to treat new facilities and how to treat existing facilities. I'll walk through the deliverables that we provided the town, talk a little bit about the specifics of the transition plan, and then I'll close with some strategies for compliance that we know have been very helpful for other local government clients. And then please just interrupt me. Don't hold your questions. It's easier to do this if I get you while you're hot about an issue. Just a tiny bit about my background. I worked in local government for a long time in Albuquerque and in Illinois. Our office is in Illinois. And so I eventually joined the WT group, and we started this accessibility practice in 2008. I'm sure just like you, when I worked in local government, I realized we have certainly a moral obligation to serve people with disabilities. I always wondered if we had a legal obligation, so I went to law school at night while I was working in local government. So bad news is I'm an attorney. The good news is I'm just a Parks and Rec guy who got a law degree. WT Group works all over the country. We have served more than 700 clients just in accessibility. We worked in 24 states in 2025. So we value our relationship with all of our clients, and even though our work technically for you will come to a close at some point in the future, we remain available to Greg and Dan and any other town staff to help you with questions that arise. I mentioned Greg and Dan. Our project team included Mike from WestCog, as well as Dan Calhoun, the Director of Parks and Recreation, and Greg Bolaro. Our end was led by Tanya Scheibe. She's one of our project managers. Only 2 states have a professional access credential. One is California, of course. The other is Texas. Tanya holds the Texas credential and is a registered accessibility specialist. And with her background in architecture and her 14 years with us, she was ideally suited to serve as the project manager here. She could not be here today because we've yet to figure out the how can we be in 2 places at the same time thing. I'll start with program and policy. We did interview staff, and our purpose for the interviews was twofold. One, we wanted to see how do town staff invite, analyze, and then fulfill requests for reasonable modification from a person with a disability so that their participation in a program that the town offers is successful. We also then, with staff, talked about their experiences with people with disabilities from a service perspective. A good example is there a go, no-go list of the things that you will provide that might facilitate participation by a person with a disability? So if I were a person who's deaf or hard of hearing and we're here tonight making public comment, as you had earlier in the meeting, would a sign language interpreter be available? What kind of changes might you make for that? So I want to say some of those are simple things to address, but some of them are a little bit more complex, and certainly some of them are gray areas that have not fully been addressed yet by the federal agencies. We also asked about what areas of additional staff training might be of interest to the staff, and then we prepared a report regarding our findings. A little bit about how the Department of Justice and the ADA views existing sites. So it's actually called the Program Access Test. If you have, I'm going to make up an example, 3 sites that are exactly the same. Let's say that there are 3 playgrounds. DOJ makes it really clear you do not have to make all 3 sites accessible. So in theory, you could get by with making 1 playground out of the 3 compliant. But if it's at this end of town and I live at that end of town, is that necessarily the right approach? So we do recommend that you always start with a minimum of 1 of 3 of recurring assets being made accessible. But if you have more than 3, if you have 6 sites or 9 sites that are the same, certainly your numbers are going to change. Other aspects of the requirements for existing sites is that you have to create what's called a transition plan. So that's really the centerpiece of our deliverables to you. And a transition plan is really just a phase schedule of when you're going to do the retrofits. We also use community engagement to identify access preferences and priorities. Some people may have a belief that the site across from them or the site in their neighborhood should be the highest priority. Others might think coming to the meeting tonight is the highest priority. So there's no right or wrong answer here, and we try to find out if your own residents have an access preference or priority that we can address. It's not gray or vague with regard to new design and construction, though. Everything that is newly designed and constructed has to be fully compliant. I'll tell you that we've never seen a new site that is fully compliant. The interface between did the designer get it right, did the contractor build it right, and then your own staff, do they maintain it properly? That always yields some sort of a discrepancy. So the Department of Justice is really clear about this, and we incorporated this in our look at your sites. Our process was managed by Tanya, and we don't make assumptions when we enter a site. We look at every single thing. So I'm looking at the door back here behind you, council member, and it's got a doorknob. So we cited that in the program. Doorknobs are not compliant. You have to have a door lever if it's a space that can be used at any time by a member of the public. We do use the federal guidance that's most recent, so that's the 2010 Standards for Accessible Design. And then we use the Connecticut Building Code because there are some Connecticut requirements. Think of the looks like he's racing icon in the accessible parking stall sign. So there are some Connecticut requirements that are more stringent, and when I say more stringent, provide more access or are different than the federal standard. We use pretty simple tools. Did I bring my phone up? I did. We use an app with our own specially designed checklists in it. I served on the 3 federal advisory committees that created the 2010 standards content, so we know the material very well. We do use checklists. Some consultants don't, but we think checklists help us make sure that we are seeing everything at your sites and giving you the best possible feedback. And we use tools some of you have at home, a digital level, a measuring tape. The pencil-like things on the right are door pressure gauges. We don't want to guess at how hard it is to open an interior door. Here in Connecticut, it has to be less than 5 pounds of force. So a transition plan, again, focuses on the programs. So when you hear in an ADA perspective the word programs, don't think brick and mortar alone, think opportunities. So I used making public comment earlier. That's a program of the town. Reviewing forms downstairs in the clerk's office. That's a program of the town. Reviewing registration forms that Parks and Recreation might receive. That's a program of the town. Providing recreation programs, providing the beach, providing a playground, those are programs. So a program can be a brick and mortar thing, it can be an opportunity, but really the best way to look at it is that an opportunity that we provide? Dispersion of accessible retrofits is important too, so we've tried to incorporate that within our transition plan recommendations. We don't want all of the accessible features to be only in one area of New Milford, and that just makes sense. Stretched out over how many years? We have you at about 14 years. The good news here is that you're in the driver's seat. You're not responding to this because you have a complaint. If that's the case, you have to do all the work within a 3-year period. So being proactive under this project with WestCog is really a huge help for you. Just a couple of factors here, and I'm not going to do all of these because you'll have this PowerPoint if you don't already, but sometimes we see jurisdictions say, okay, we want to set some priorities here. One might be the severity of the barrier. So if there's a building that has no ramp and only stairs to get in, that's a severe barrier. The flip side of that might be low-hanging fruit, things you can do with current human or fiscal resources. We've seen a lot of jurisdictions say we're going to take the site that gets the most heavy use and we're going to make that a higher priority. Historic sites on the right still require an audit, but historic sites, before they are a retrofit, require a review by the State Historic Preservation Officer to make sure that the retrofit doesn't threaten or destroy the historic significance of the site. Last but not least, at the bottom right, sites with other protections, environmentally protected wetlands or flora or fauna or animals. So all of those can come into play. So if making a site compliant will endanger an endangered species, then you have a way to not make that happen. I mentioned the 20 standards here, and this is a good place to mention this. The federal government didn't finish everything. So your beach is very popular, for example. You have trails. There is no final and enforceable guideline for beaches and trails. There is one step short of final and enforceable. So we used that in our work. It is unlikely the administration is going to issue this. This has tended to become a state's issue. So Texas, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Florida have picked up the outdoor recreation requirements and made that a state requirement. So that may be something in the future for Connecticut. Still though, even if there's not a final and enforceable guideline, a trail is a program, a beach is a program. So we've approached it that way and we've used that highest federal level writing in our evaluation of the sites. 4 things are required in a transition plan. We have to identify every deficit. So every time we saw a doorknob or an operating mechanism like the light switch over there that was out of the reach range, then we noted that. Then we have to identify whether or not we recommend it be resolved or if it be left as is. I said earlier that you don't have to make every deficit go away. So that might be part of it. We say leave it as is because it's available somewhere else. Put in a schedule for the retrofit, so by what year or in what phase will the work be done. And then last but not least, indicate the official who's responsible for implementation of the plan. And I think that's the guy behind me to my left. Also not required, but we know, of course, that no town can take on an effort like this without an idea of the cost. We provided cost references for every retrofit involved. Deliverables, pretty robust set, included the transition plan and a pivot table that summarizes the cost and the phasing at each site, a final report that summarizes the overall project, 33 different access audit site reports generated through the app that we use, a community engagement survey report, a program and policy report. The Department of Justice insists on calling a process where your citizens can come to you and ask for something. So, council member, if you and I are talking about something and I ask the town to do something, are we arguing about it? No. But the Department of Justice wants you to call that a grievance procedure. And in our mind, that just sounds adversarial. So we suggest you call it a solutions process. You and I are trying to find a common ground, and it's not an argument yet. Can become one, but it doesn't need to start that way. We also gave you a sample service animal policy template. This is odd. The ADA is 35 years old last month. This is still the #1 question that the Department of Justice gets, is what is a service animal and where can it be? We also gave you a sample other power-driven mobility device policies. So that covers everything from a person with a disability who has a mobility impairment who uses a golf cart to get around in a park, or a Segway, or even an e-bike. A couple of strategies here. You know, it's important to maintain relationships with people with disabilities and advocacy groups that are in New Milford. So I think that that's always helpful. You want to listen to your residents about what they think is important. I think the second bullet point's important too. Every year, do budget for and expend some resources towards the transition plan. Don't take a holiday from the transition plan. I think bragging about your work is important too. We saw a lot of things that the town has done that are compliant, a lot of programs that are good and supportive of people who have a disability. So in community newsletters and in public reports, mentioning what you're doing is a good way to show your community that you're taking the ADA requirements seriously and you do want people with and without disabilities in your programs and services. And I think the bullet point on the bottom is important to stress too. Exceed the minimum requirements. If a parking lot is only required to have one accessible stall, there's nothing that says you can't make 2 stalls there. And that's important from a demographic perspective. By 2030, there will be more people over 65 than under 18 across the country for the first time in history. So if we polled everybody in the room, we'd probably find an incidence of disability of around 13 to 14%. But for people over 65, the incidence of disability is 3 times that. It's 45%. So this is important. The transition plan is important for today, don't get me wrong, but it's even more important for 2029 and 2030. We don't want town of New Milford to realize suddenly our infrastructure isn't ready, our staff aren't ready for this. So this is certainly important about today, but it's also a way for you to look ahead and make sure you're ready for the demographic wave that is hitting every state. What's next? Accept the report and direct staff to implement it. As I said, staff have done, and you with your leadership have done a lot of things that are really good and worth noting. So accepting the report, making sure you annually budget and expend for transition plan retrofits, and authorizing staff to continue to implement the ADA requirements. Like I said, we won't leave you behind. There will be questions, I'm sure, going forward. So feel free to reach out. You can always get me or you can always get Tanya. I'd ask that you copy Mike since he's the WestCog representative. I didn't hear a question, but I didn't give you much space there to get one in. So I'll stop now, Mr. Mayor, and I'd happily answer any questions.
Any questions for John?
I have one.
Katie?
So you already have a list of things in our town that you would like to have us amend, good things, and then we have those we need to work on?
You have the list of things you need to work on, yes.
And what was the time frame again?
We suggested 14 years.
Okay.
The longest we've ever gone in a transition plan, and this was for a pretty large suburb of Phoenix, and the scope included right-of-way assets as well as parks and buildings, was 24 years. So 14 seemed to be a good fit for you, but I'll say that this is like any other plan. There may be opportunities for you to accelerate it and make it a 12-year plan. There may be requirements that arise that force you to make it a 16-year plan.
And the 2030 number, the balance of senior versus non, is also an important item to keep in mind.
It is, I think.
Some of us.
If I were a betting man, I would say that it's moved from 2030 to 2029. But this just isn't going to be something that we're going to see out of the Centers for Disease Control and the Census Bureau this year.
All right. Very interesting.
Sal and then Ari?
What's the estimated cost to the town?
A shade under $4 million at the...
Over 14 years? Or
yes, over the 14 years.
And some of that money can be done in-kind services.
Yep.
Yes, it could be in-kind services, and in the document that we provided to staff, the transition plan, you can sort it from 0 to largest. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and you'll find, my recollection is about 31% of your retrofits are simple things like changing the sign at a restroom, raising the sign height in a parking stall. So things that you can do with current resources.
Ari?
You had mentioned something about the trails in town and saying that's more of a state's issue, but like in an ideal world, what would be the expectation of the town for the trails that we have here?
Well, trails are a program, so if the town feels it's important to offer trails, then you have to have, I'm gonna say, some trails that are accessible also.
Like paved.
I don't mean paved. It can be a crushed stone surface. It can be a engineered wood fiber that is compacted into the ground. So whenever you use a loose fill surface, good news is it costs a little bit less than paving it, but the bad news is you've increased your maintenance demand. So it's a choice that the town has to make. But having offered trails, then you do have to have some trails that are accessible. We've seen other jurisdictions take a relatively flat area and build trail loops that are new instead of trying to retrofit existing trails that might be along a steeper area or might be alongside a river or something like that.
So like we have a short trail along the river and it sort of continues up around Young's Fields. Would that qualify? Like that is paved?
It certainly can, yes. You know, we would encourage you to look at the number of trail miles that you have and then aim for a higher number than 1 or 2 or 3%.
Okay.
But again, the lack of guidance from the federal government here really makes you do the heavy lifting. But that's the kind of thing that we're happy to weigh in on as well.
Thank you.
That's great.
Any other questions? Oh,
I just want to say, I had no idea this was so complicated.
I hope I made it a little simpler.
Yes.
Great presentation, John.
Right.
John, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Next.
Item 10, I'd like to move that we approve the tax abatement for the property at 7 Pickett District Road.
And Brian is here.
Do we have a
for that.
second?
Do we have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Rolando.
Brian's here.
And as Brian is coming up, and thank you, Brian, as Brian does kind of gives us the rough numbers to work with when it comes to abatements. And there's been some in the public that ask, why do we do this? Like, how does that make sense? Other towns do it, so why do we do it? So when you take a look at Brian's formula, you can see that what he put on there is currently this particular property, we tax at $6,360. When we do these abatements, that money for the first 5 years doesn't go away. Some people think they don't pay, they pay zero.
Right.
They do not. They continue to make the same payment as they would today.
Exactly.
So when you look at, as a bank would, or you look as somebody in finance or a town would look, you look at the run rate. And we use on these a 20-year run rate. So if you were to take a 20-year run rate, 6360, that would be $127,200 to the municipality in taxes over 20 years. Now, if you take a look at what this particular project would bring to town, first is upon completion, the value of the property would go to $867,160. That would bring a new value or an increase of $20,480 in taxes. Included now, year 5 through year 15, it would then be $26,840 versus $6,360. So if you take those numbers, first we take the $6,360 over the 5 years, because that's what they would be paying. That would be $31,800. You then would take the $20,408 or the $26,480, and you'd go over 15 years. That brings you $402,600. So that'd bring you a total over that 20-year period of $434,400. Brian had also anticipated $6,000 in personal property that once this is completed, you would be adding into the tax rolls. So we would use 15 years on that number. Because for the first 5 years, they may not have anything in it.
That's right.
That's an additional $102,000. So if you take a look in 20 years, if you left it and not did anything with it, the town would make $127,200 in additional taxes. By allowing this, the town then would get $536,400 plus jobs, plus additional growth, because Brian, I don't mean to take your thunder, you're using value as it is today.
Correct.
And as we get into more talks about value with homestead and the new things, you'll see the values go up. So this is just the numbers as it would today, not putting in any additional calculations for additional growth when it comes to the value.
Right.
So again, other towns do this. We are not in a vacuum by ourselves.
No,
and as we want, Danbury uses it, Waterbury, I mean, bunches of town does. And another main reason too why we use this type of vehicle is when people go these businesses, they normally don't have millions of dollars in their pocket to just pay cash. They go and they finance it. So when you finance it, you have to, especially in the businesses, you have to do what's called a roll, a financing roll, a rent roll, or a cash flow roll. You have to meet a certain number to get a loan. So by these first 5 years, by allowing for the operator to not have to put into the deal $20,480, that helps him get his financing. And I know 3 of these deals that we did do, because we did this, that made the deal actually work. So there's all good win-wins for that. And Brian, I'm sorry, I'll shut up now with that, but I think it's another great benefit, and it brings vitality to the mill.
Yeah, so this project meets the town's ordinance in terms of the use and the amount of investment. And as you said, Mayor, it's an abatement that's in the long run well worth it in the sense that it brings us tax dollars going forward. And we've seen benefits in the past with the other abatements that we've done. They've actually, we have now some that are going to be on this grand list, fully taxable. So, and it's helped develop a lot of vacant, when I first came here, we had a lot of vacant industrial lots, and they're slowly disappearing, which is a good sign.
Yep. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you, Brian. Next.
Item 10B, I'd like to move that we approve the homestead exemption revision to include an application filing extension.
And this we had for those that were here, do I have a second?
I need a second.
Thank
Yolando.
For those that were here for the public hearing, we had our public hearing, which is what we need, right, Randy, before we do this? And that was done. And the actual, I'd asked for the opinion of the meeting, Randy, and they affirmed that this would also be a good thing to do. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on allowing for an extension so those that didn't make the December application period now can continue to apply?
Till April 15th, correct?
Right, through April 15th. I think it's appropriate to do. I think that a lot of people didn't understand this exemption. It's our first year, obviously, that we're trying to implement it. So I think it would be a good idea to extend the deadline to April 15th.
Great.
And let's just push it more. Let's just all, put it out.
Right.
And try to get it to our neighbors, try to get it to our families that first didn't understand it, and like you said, they missed out on it.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Item 10C, I'd like to move that we approve setting a percentage tax rate, we'll call it, on primary residences per the town of New Milford under homestead exemption ordinance. Do I have a second on that?
Thank you. And Olga and Brian and myself have been working on this, as we all know, for several months. We got finally some harder numbers over, I think, Thursday or Friday.
Oh,
and we have it up on the board here. And there's ones to start, and to begin the process, first and foremost is, as you'll begin to see, this is a major shift in how we're taxed. So as you can see, there is the primary residence, there is the residential non-exempt, meaning second homes or investment properties, and then you have a commercial, and then you have your motor vehicles. And it's very complex how these are done. Some of the things you're going to see there is values. So in our residential properties, we had a tremendous growth in the value of that property, whether it be primary residence, second home, investment, which is great news for the town. You see a huge uptick in value. And why is that part important? You're able to use that equity when you sell your property. If you want to use it to buy a home somewhere else, if you want to do something with it, if you have someone that's looking to maybe go and continue their education, or your child, you can tap into the equity when it comes to that. There's all sorts of things you can do. And it's great to see that equity is building. You go to other parts of the country right now, and that equity is going down, not up. Now, with that being said, there's kind of a two-edged sword to that. So just using this amount in the beginning, with property values going anywhere from 45% up to 80% in value, when you see that tremendous increase, and you see commercial properties at 12% growth, what happens is there becomes a big shift where now the taxable, because the value has gone up so much, shifts over to the residential properties. And you'll see when we go through these things how that happens. So in this first chart that we have here, this would be if we didn't do any exemption at all. There's nothing. This is just what it would look like if we did this without even looking at Homestead Act. So first you'll see up on the top, our current mill rate is 30.96. Our mill rate would go down to 22.72. We used what's called the current assessed value here for residential and non-residential homes at $200,000, which is about what Brian suggested that we used. New assessed value at $304,500. Now, that means that's what 70% of the value of your property is. So you'd be looking at, if for a better term, you're looking at a $400,000 house, right? The first thing that we looked at is if your property's value. Now remember, we talked about this before. Everybody's house appreciates different. Your value will be totally different than somebody else's. That's what that's what your appraisal's for, and that's what, when we do the reval. We assumed some things. First, we assumed at a 45% increase with no homestead exemption, right? The increase to the homeowner this year, and we included in a budget of 3.15% for this year's budget coming up. Or I'm sorry, 3.2, thank you, Olga. You would see an increase of 6.39%, which for dollars on a property like that would be an increase of $415 on both residential and non-residential. You then would have a decline of 17.82% for commercial. So you see where it's shifting? And that's because they only went up 12%. And here, for this one scenario, you're going up 45% on residential. So you see the big move, which is why they have a reduction of 17.82%. Oh, can we go to the next slide? This is no homestead exemption. Again, the mill rate and the current and resulting mill rate are the same. This is if you had a 55% increase in the value of your property. So here you'll see that the increase would be 13.73% to the primary residences. That'd be your increase because of the revow. Non-residential would be 13.73. A reduction in commercial of 17.82. And then your motor vehicles would go down 26.63%. And the number that we use for motor vehicles, because the mill rate goes down, that's how our motor vehicles are taxed. So on a $12,000, we asked Brian, what would be the average? So he said about $12,000. So if your vehicle's worth more than that, obviously your number's going to be higher. But on $12,000, you get back $99 is less in your taxes. Okay, Olga, can we go to the next slide? Now we're going to go with the homestead exemption. This is what it would look like if the town council decides to use 10% and we use the homestead exemption. Mill rate would be at 23.79 from 30.96. We're going to start off with if your property value increased by 45%. You then would see a tax increase, right, of 0.27 or $17. Now, when you go to the residential non-exempt, and again, as we talked about when we first started this whole endeavor, the state of Connecticut allows no vehicle for us to help mitigate anything for second homes. Olga again called as well, and because it's not deemed a different class, it's just property, right, Olga? We cannot do any kind of abatements on investment or second homes. I have asked our delegation, is they're going to be meeting budgetarily, if there's anything that they can do to help with this. As you could see, the major shift. But here you would see they would be at 11.41% in their increase. Mm-hmm. And that value, they would go up $742 in taxes over the year. Commercial property, again, they would be declining 13.95% or $1,425. Again, motor vehicles are the same, $86 there. Now, going to the next slide. This is if your property had increased by 55%. And a big swath of our properties increased between 45 and 55%, right, Brian? So remember, that was a big tranche. That's why we use these two numbers. Again, I'll be telling the public and telling you on the council, everybody's house, you're going to have a different value and percentage. So you're going to need to check that yourself. I'm going to be holding a public hearing as well, so the public can come in and talk a little bit more about this and get more information. But here at 55%. Now, going back to the second homestead no exemption, we showed at 55% for a residential property, that would be a 13.73% increase. With the Homestead Act, it would actually be 7.18% increase, so almost half. Those taxes then would be an increase of $467. Now when you go to the residential or non-residential second homes, you see a large move because there's no way we can protect that. That's at 19.09%, which would be $1,241 increase. And then again, motor vehicles go down $86. And I think I said commercial went down $1,425. So there we see the huge shift from commercial and how it impacts our residential properties. Does anybody have any questions so far?
I have a question for Brian. When would a homeowner know what their value's going to be going forward? We just paid our taxes, so now we have the next, okay.
Right, so everybody got an assessment notice because of the reassessment, so you all know what your 70% of market
Not
value.
everybody.
Excuse me?
Not everybody.
No?
No, I didn't, and I said something to the mayor, but then I also realized that someone asked me about that, and I kind of forgot about it, thinking
okay.
it was in the mail.
Yeah.
When did you mail it?
We mailed those back in November, not too long after the election.
Wow, okay, I'll come in.
13,000 notices.
I'll come, well, maybe one got lost. I'll come in and pick one up. How's
Okay.
that?
But just to add to that, the values have been posted online.
Oh, they
So
are?
you can go to the town website to.
Oh, I'll go look, yeah.
You can look up your property and you will see the new, reassessed value.
So every property owner should have received it. Let's just forget what happened to me or somebody else, but,
Yeah.
okay, so they should have, and they should use that
Yeah.
to look at what we're talking about.
So we've been in the process of maintaining the homestead exemptions, at least putting on the exemption code, not the percentage. But once we have a percentage, then we'll mail out a follow-up notice and
Okay.
it'll show you what your assessment,
That was my
gross
next question.
assessment
Okay.
is, and then what the value of the exemption is, and then a net. Then you'll know your net, and then from there, through the spring, you'll be knowing, you'll have an idea of what the mill rate's gonna be, right, through the budget hearings.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Diane? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, and so the
And
percentage.
also, Diane, what I've asked Olga, that we can hopefully build out tomorrow or the next day, is we're gonna do these values in tranches of 5. So starting at 45, or we have 45 and 50, then we're gonna do 60, 65, 70, because some houses, they could have some
Right.
great sales in their neighborhood and maybe they're there.
Right.
The major tranches of value increases were between the 45 and 55%. That seemed to be the most. That's why we use these numbers. But again, I tell everybody, check yours out and see, what your value had grown. Now, you always have the ability, right, Brian, to say, you know what, I'm making it up, right? My house went up 56%. I don't think so. You have the ability to go to BAA, and if you have the right documentation, you can contest the value.
Question on that. A lot of people have asked me, is it okay to have your numbers ready to discuss, at the hearing? Or is it better to bring an attorney?
Brian?
No.
Yeah.
Randy can answer
Not-
that.
you said-
You're gonna get me. So you don't want an attorney
No,
in BAA.
no.
You want to use a citizen who's gonna explain their position to other citizens.
Right.
I never reckon, any town I represent, when people show up with attorneys,
Uh-huh.
it's a war.
Wow, all right.
I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, good to know.
The taxpayer.
And then you get John Tower.
The taxpayer can communicate with the Board of Appeals and get their point across.
Okay.
You don't need an attorney to go to a Board of
I
Assessment.
have a friend who's very, very nervous about doing that by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're nice people.
All right, thank you.
They're easy going.
Any other questions?
Well.
Okay, so there's options the town council can decide. Let's go with the first one, is no homestead, no anything, just as it is. And again, that would be with no homestead.
Yeah, there you go. Show it up there.
Yep. For the 45%, you look at a 6.39% increase.
Okay.
At a 55% value increase, you'd be looking at 13.73% increase.
That's with no exemption.
That's with no exemption. Going to the 10% exemption. And remind you, you would just be voting on the exemption. You're not voting on the values.
Right.
Because the values are derived already. You're just voting are you gonna do the 10% exemption? Are you gonna be doing the no exemption? But as you can see at 10%, at 45%, it's a $17 increase for residents, which is 0.27. Non-residents would see an 11.41% increase, which would be $742. And then again, commercial is down 13.95%, which is about $1,425 on this type of value of the property. And again, each and every property is unique. So this is just giving you an average. You can kind of think in terms of the benefit or not, and then motor vehicles at $12,000 value would be a net reduction of $86.
And the last option?
And that, well, this is the same thing, it's
Yes,
just the
but-
values, so you see.
Right.
As the values increase, so is the taxes. So as you see on 55%, you'd still be voting on 10%, right?
Just the percentage. it's
Correct.
gonna change.
Right.
You would see the increase goes from it would be at 7.81%, but then again, when you're looking at the homestead, same value at 55%, that would be 13.73%.
It's 10% that we're looking at now, it's 55 on second line, that means that it's gonna be 45% actually, is that what it is?
So you have, on the 10%, you have the 45,
Right.
which brings you down to an increase of $17. And that's if your property increased 45% or less than that.
Right, but specifically for this display, right, it's I have a 55%, let's say out of 55%, and exactly what it is. So with the 10% homestead, I'm going to 45, and then my increase is 467.
Right,
That's if the value of your property went up
right.
55%. Correct.
Okay, but that's where we differ, right? With the value of the property and the
Correct.
percentage of the value.
Right.
Correct.
So if your property value went up tremendously,
I guess if you want to be specific, is that what I'm understanding? It's not exactly 45, I guess, increase, because the 10% is taken off of the, 55% assessment. So your actual increase in the assessed value will be closer to 40, like 325.
be how much, Olga?
What?
What would it be? Say it again.
Well, the actual increase in your home.
Status quo is 210, 55%.
Mhm.
And it says on top, 10% homestead exemption.
Correct.
So the status is the two lines on the top. Then you take the 10% off of that.
Correct.
You go with 45%.
Not exactly, because 10% off of the higher number, the actual increase after the 10% exemption, the increase in your assessed value from the current to the new one will be an increase of 39.5. Because if you take 10% on the 55% value and subtract that, the resulting value, and if you compare the resulting value with your current assessment, you will see an increase not of 45, but a little bit less.
Right, I just see the big number. Now, the difference between the previous slide on the 45% and 10% homestead was a
Right.
17%, $17 increase.
Yes,
That was
because
467 increase.
yes, that shift is because of the
10% more value in the property.
Yep, it's the allocation of the grand list. If you implement 10% exemption, your grand list is being shifted, and that impacts the resulting mill rate.
I'm not arguing, I'm just,
Yeah.
people are listening.
But that's why, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Brian did a great job. He provided a lot of data, and we tried to see what were the most reasonable approach to even present that data, because it's so variable. So these particular slides, they just go to show the even impact in your individual assessment, and that's where this gap happens. The change in individual assessment actually impacts the result.
The no homestead, where would it be for the same thing, 55%?
13%.
Yeah, you go to 13% versus 7.
Right.
The same house, the same residence, but no homestead exemption,
So that doubles.
13.73%.
It doubles, right? 467 previously.
It doubles.
13.73 versus 7.
Well, it says increase. If you
Yep.
look at the increase, it says
Correct.
467, and then the number here is 892. So,
This is.
I mean, 10% sales, 20%, anything.
All right.
So it's discussion and possible action. The action is whether we approve of the 10%.
Or you can choose nothing.
Right.
Mayor,
Yeah.
so this is going to be one of these things that, people are going to, there's going to be people that are going to be upset no matter what. Because, for example, if you go and do the 10% and your value went up 55%, you're upset because you're going to pay more taxes, but your value went up 55%. So if we look around, other parts of the country, whose house is going up 55%? So then you know, this.
The problem with value of the houses in this country is this: it's based on economy. It can go from 0 to 1,000 like Ferrari.
Yeah, but right now
So
it's
it all depends on economy. So I get what it is.
Well, we have to look at New Milford. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we live, so let's not go crazy.
No, yeah, we are looking at New Milford. I'm just saying the mayor's gonna probably get a lot of phone calls because of this.
Absolutely.
And we just wanna
But that's no brainer.
make it clear.
That's no brainer.
Very clear.
That, for
yes.
example, the people that have multiple houses and their taxes are gonna go up, you're gonna have people, you know, they're gonna call their landlords. They're gonna be worried if their rent is gonna go up, you know, next time around. So that's just gonna be a numbers thing where you're not gonna make everybody happy.
But if you don't have the exemption,
Exactly.
And this, unfortunately, it's not anybody at this table. It's not anything. This is just how the state.
It's just common sense.
Yeah, this is just how the state mandates a revow. And with the strong growth that we've seen after COVID, people coming in and buying properties, residential properties, at a very fast pace, and people holding on to their commercial properties here. So you're seeing them only going up 12%. The shift, which we're going to try and, again, talk to the public. It isn't that there's a big, huge, massive increase in taxes that we're going and expending the budget. It's the shift of taxes from commercial to residential. And other towns are seeing this as well.
can we go to the next slide, the lower percentage of the growth to reval? So there, okay, so Brian, what would you say the majority, just roughly, I know it's not, you're not gonna pinpoint it, but what would you say, we have more people who would be 55%, or we have more people, yeah?
The median is around 55. So
Oh, it is?
The middle, right.
Okay.
Yep,
So the middle is 50% of the household.
right, yep.
At 55.
At 55%.
What's the 45?
Let me just do some numbers real quick.
I don't have to do like that. You could have tabled something.
Yeah, so if you were looking at single-family homes, we have about 8,600. 5,530 are in that 55.
Yes, I was talking about single,
Yeah, single
the
families.
primary owner.
So about 1,300 are around 45%. About 900 are on the other end, up towards
Right.
65. So, but the majority are in that 55%.
Okay, 50,
Yep.
55.
Just to give you some parameters.
Okay, so that's showing 45.
So if you're gonna approve the act, don't concern yourself with 45 or 55.
Yeah,
No.
just the
It's
10%.
the 10%,
Yeah.
no matter what the
Yeah,
value
it's the
is.
10%.
Yeah,
But I'm
Correct.
just saying, can we just let people, can this be seen at home?
Yep.
Okay,
And then we're also gonna be posting these on the website.
good.
We're also gonna be doing them in 5% increments, so people see. Also gonna give out the number, and then we're also gonna hold a public meeting so that people can come, learn more about how this is relayed, because it's not the town. This is what's mandated every 5 years.
I just want to stress out that the 10% is what the town can do to the New Milford people here. It's not autopilot. If we didn't come up with this
Right.
Correct.
percent,
Right.
it would be just
You'd be at 13
going
you'd be
and
at
knock
13
yourself out, pay whatever you
Correct.
have.
You'd be
Yeah,
at
that's right.
13%.
Just what we've done all
That's
these
right.
other years.
That's right.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is because when the Board of Education, everybody comes in and they're saying, this is it, this is my way or the highway, we did some little compromise here, as much as we could.
Right?
So you have a motion with no percentage. Do you want to put a percentage in your motion, or?
We're still considering.
Yeah, we're
We're
just
not in a rush.
asking questions because the public is gonna ask a lot of questions and probably their questions are being answered just going around the table.
Not that we need to be
Right, and we also know that not everybody watches this, and not everybody proceeds to relay the information in the
And
correct
that's why we're gonna
way.
push it out so that
yes,
people
so-
can know more.
Because I'm sure there's some people who are completely
I
befuddled.
think Brian did a great job.
He
Yeah,
should
thank
be.
you,
Yes,
Ryan.
you did,
Brian
Brian.
and
job.
Olga did a fantastic
Olga, too,
job.
here.
Stamping all those envelopes. I'll tell you.
I'm serious, you did a good job, man.
So,
Which
Do you want
Okay.
to
Yep.
make a decision now?
Okay, Gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. So, just as kind of a hand call before we vote, just who's for no homestead abatement? 0. Okay.
Who's abstaining?
Okay.
All I see
All
sometimes
right.
Picture this as the gladiator.
I got you. I'm just
We're in
saying.
the arena and Brian is in the middle.
Here comes the lion.
That's right.
Okay. Who is for the 10% homestead exemption?
That's all I can do.
Well, there was another option, 10%.
10%.
10%.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a motion with no percentage. Do you want
Is
to
that-
your motion?
Well, just a second, we're just talking here, Stephanie. We haven't done the final legal thing here yet. So I couldn't see everybody, so was everybody have their hand up for that?
Seems like just about everybody.
Okay, so let me read it again. We're making a motion here to approve a tax abatement. I'm sorry, wrong one, we already did that one. This would be setting a percentage of 10% on primary residence per the town of New Milford homestead exemption ordinance.
So that is not your motion.
I second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Second by
Well,
Sal.
yes, well, now that we have a percentage, and Paul had seconded it, but there was no percentage, so.
And before we finish the vote, again, just
Yeah.
so the public is aware, it's in the minutes, Stephanie, that this is the result of a mandatory state statute reval every 5 years, and that because of the increase, very large increase in residential home values, which is great on the one hand, we had a very small increase in the commercial, thus making the shift of the tax burden on to the residential properties.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody.
All right. Okay, be prepared.
Okay.
All right, item number 11.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes,
Thank you,
Brian,
Brian.
thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Olga.
much. And Olga, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Olga.
Okay, item 11, I'd like to move that we create and implementation of a moratorium of utility, battery, electric storage, whatever that stands for, the last one, lithium battery storage facilities in New Milford, including a timeline for implementation.
Second.
Any discussion on the moratorium? I know that
Would you let
the
me read
Clean
it?
Water Coalition had come up to talk to us at the podium, and thank you for that. I know one of the things that they did ask, and I'll defer to Randy, is, let me see if I can pull up their email that they sent to all of us, which was they asked why we would do it, and I'm not using it verbatim. Here we go. Does a municipal moratorium on utility scale BESS facilities have legal standing under Connecticut law? Does it have the authority to supersede or limit the jurisdiction of the Connecticut Siting Council? So Randy,
Where did this come from, Matt?
this came from the Clean Water Coalition. There's not a name attached to it, it's just to the coalition.
I would think the Clean Water Coalition would like the town council to do anything it could do to impose a moratorium, unless there's a legitimate.
And I know there has been some people, in the beginning, the coalition was very much in favor of the town doing a moratorium. I know still the West Aspetuck is very much in favor of us doing it, as well as those in public. And I think for the council, kind of as a recast, and speaking with Randy as well, I know, Randy, is if it ever does decide to go to a siting council, because remember, they did go to the Clean Water Coalition Zoom meeting that they have, right, where they claimed they were going to do a pause. And then just again, for everybody, I did then speak to Flatiron. They said that they were pausing, but they mentioned they would go to different locations. They were looking at different ones, would not let the town know which ones they were looking at. And they also said they would not give up the option on the property that they currently have.
All right.
So I do know, working with the state of Connecticut, snail's pace is extremely fast for them in processes. So I think what the thing we don't want to do is if they decide to go ahead and put in an application and we're not ready with bringing in all the information that we do. I know we did talk about having our departments, right, our inland wetlands reviewing it, zoning, so that they can give input. Doesn't mean that they control it, but the more input that we give to the siting council, the better. We also, in agreements with the town council, looked at putting in a moratorium because that shows the intent, right, Randy, of our local town of our council.
Right.
You asked the value of a moratorium, and I don't know what the intent of that memo to you was. But the reality is that whatever Flatiron told that group, or you, is unenforceable. They can do anything they want whenever they want. The beauty of a moratorium, to answer one of the speaker's questions, is that does not have the force of law. Everybody knows that. That's a rhetorical question, apparently. Does not preempt the siting council. Does not preempt the state legislature or the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Does not. No matter what anybody tells you, it does not. However, what a moratorium does, it expresses the legislative intent and the will of its residents and citizens not to have this zone in their town. That's the beauty of that, because it shows a grassroots determined position that is taken by way of a resolution of the legislative body.
Right.
So that goes someplace, or should, with the legislature and the siting council. That becomes a piece of evidence, filed exhibit in the siting council application. That's what this is for. You can do this another way. You don't have to do it. We drew two of them. I drew this. I didn't bring the ordinance because I didn't want to confuse things. You can do it by way of a legislative body resolution, or you can do it by way of an ordinance.
Right.
The problem with an ordinance is that it's not something that we can enforce independent of the state.
Resolution is better, I think.
Resolution really sets forth what the resolve of the citizenry is. So the answer to the question is no, it is not enforceable. It cannot trump the state legislature. It cannot trump the siting council. It cannot. No matter what anybody
But it adds to our objections.
Exactly. What it does is it shows a firm position of a municipal entity, which is a political subdivision, you know, the state. So that's the answer to the question. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't preempt anything, but it certainly sets forth the position forcefully.
And shall I read this?
Yes,
So we know what it's, okay, so this is the legislative moratorium.
That we would be voting on to approve.
Correct.
Okay.
In the nature of a resolution.
Yep.
Right. So the town of New Milford, acting by its town council, does resolve, state, and declare as follows. Whereas there are various entities that propose to build and in place battery energy storage systems, also known as BESS, in towns within the state of Connecticut. And whereas the New Milford residents and their elected legislators do not want such facilities built, stored, or placed within the town of New Milford. Now, therefore, be it resolved that battery energy storage systems, lithium battery storage facilities, and related facilities are hereby prohibited in the town of New Milford. The prohibition herein stated shall not expire and may only be modified, truncated, or repealed by further legislative action pursuant to affirmative vote of the New Milford Town Council dated this 9th day of February 2026. Do I have a vote now?
Mary Jane.
Yes. So I read those emails from the Water Coalition, and I think one of the concerns somebody brought up was they were worried that this was going to prohibit people from having their own individual battery storage.
Randy?
Which I can't.
No, this is a lithium. It's a battery storage system. This is for commercial purposes.
Right.
You can modify them if you want, but the fact is that nobody's going to construe that as your generator.
Right. That's what
Or your solar panel.
Randy, would it be, as Mary Jane had said, should we add in the word utility, lithium battery storage, or does the intent somebody in their house would do?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Could we discuss it before we vote?
Absolutely.
Because I came into this meeting with two ideas, or two, concerns. You just mentioned the first one, which is that the, government snail space is best. So why not go ahead and do something, you know, as a town? We could always rescind it if someone is successful. Hold on, if someone is, you just gave me a look. If someone is successful in getting the state to pass an even better moratorium, then we might be able to, because they have more power than we do. But I'm also concerned that the governor very much wants to not allow municipalities to control their zoning. And if we just kind of wait until a moratorium or something at the state level happens, I think we're going to be missing an opportunity to make sure that we have a say as to where, you know, if we want one of these facilities and where we want to put it, and not leave it up to the siting council, because they are refusing to go with our state legislators, Republican state legislators, who want to make sure that there is a local representative or two who are working with the siting council when they go to individual municipalities.
And for the record, State Representative Buckby and Senator Harding were at our town council meeting that we had at the high school. They're very much working in Hartford to find some solutions, so I commend them. The same with Representative Callahan, who couldn't be at that meeting. He couldn't get out of his place in New Fairfield because of the snow that day. But they are all in effect working hard up in Hartford, so we commend them as well. So I think this just is just another positive, and you know, really making sure that this health and safety of New Milford, our residents, are taken care of.
I definitely support this because, you know, like, even if we went to a location that was less bad in New Milford, even if they went to another battery type that was less volatile than the one that's originally proposed, it's still new technology, a huge burden on our volunteer fire department, and a risk that is not normally taken in areas as residential as this, whether it's in a residential zone or a commercial zone. These things, they do it in like Texas and Nevada, where there's not a house for hundreds of miles, where they don't have the same kind of risk. And to put that kind of risk anywhere in Connecticut, I think, would be devastating.
So this moratorium is one of our tools.
We have heard from the public in previous meetings here and in different locations, and my constituents had voted me in office. They want a moratorium now. And I think it's something we need to vote on tonight and put a moratorium in effect.
But we have to make sure that we're not legislation body here. We're making a statement, not a law, correct?
This is a...
It's not a law.
It's not a law.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying this is what's gonna happen. We're saying we're sympathizing with the residents of New York.
It's a legislative moratorium.
Yeah.
This is what the public wanted.
Absolutely.
As I read it, and as it's called a legislative moratorium, and at the end, one of the best parts of this is that the prohibition herein shall not expire and may only be modified, truncated, or repealed by further legislative action pursuant to affirmative vote of the New Milford Town Council. So that is the legislative action that would have to happen, and I think we're not gonna ever do that.
Any other?
That's us. We're making the legislative action of voting for this.
I think we're confusing people. We're making statements.
We're not.
Well, Randy, where would you want us to put the word commercial?
Right before,
Commercial energy battery storage.
yeah, commercial, to build and in place.
Build and in place
A
a commercial BSS. Okay.
Okay.
I made that change right here and initialed it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone.
Okay, you got that one, Stephanie, you don't need that.
Your Honor, you might want to take those minutes, Steph, and send them to the legislatures.
Yeah, good
Or our
idea.
legislators.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay, so that takes care of, okay. Where- Yeah, I know, yes, Stephanie, I know. I'm just looking at it, to make sure I noted it correctly. So,
Keep your on task.
item number 12A, I'd like to move that we create an ordinance that will allow New Milford to set up a municipal school bus violation system enforcement program. Let's find a
Thank
way
you,
to
Katie.
collect
So the
that.
state
Do we have a
legisl-
second?
Second it.
Thank you,
Rolando.
Rolando. So the state of Connecticut has allowed now municipalities to create an ordinance that will allow for municipal bus enforcement programs to be installed in our buses for our public students. They'd be all-star, and Danbury has done it, Vernon is going through it. And what this is the technology they now have. If someone decides to run the red light, or go past a bus as a bus has its red lights on, this could pick up the license plate and they would be given a ticket. The chief of police is very much in favor of it, so is our public works director, Jack Healy. I notified Superintendent Parlato and also the chair, Leslie Sarich, and Vice Chair Eric to let them know that we were working on this. I think it's a great opportunity to provide additional safety. And so I'd like to get your permission to begin that process, to work with Randy to create the verbiage for the ordinance, of which we could bring back after, if you decide to move forward with at our March meeting to kind of get it going.
Randy, did you give us this?
I'll give you one.
It's an ordinance entitled municipal
No,
school
that's just
bus.
so you could see what another
that's
town
an
is.
example of a-
Yep,
Oh, that's,
exactly.
okay, it didn't look like you, okay.
I didn't grab it.
All right.
So tonight I'm just asking for permission from the council to begin to work with Randy to create the ordinance for New Milford.
So we have a motion and a second?
Second.
Thank you.
No, we
Any
have
other
a second,
discussion?
we have a
Any-
second. We have a, I'm sorry, I spoke too quickly. We have a motion, we have a second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Thank you, everybody.
Item number 12B, I'd like to move that we set a public hearing date on the municipal school bus violation system enforcement program, which we just voted on, and the suggested date would be March 9th at 6:30.
6:15.
6:15, because we have another
Thank you,
one
Paul.
at
Right.
6:30.
Thank you, Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions? Thank you.
All righty, now we're on item 13. I'd like to move that we take action on developing the Chernisky Road Committee, and the appointments to that committee would be as follows: Justine Ann McCabe, Adrian Riccio, Mary Jane Lundgren, Michael A. Crespan, and Jack Healy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 14, I'd like to move to approve the creation of a toddler/child bike track at the John Pettibone Community Center.
And we
Do I
have,
have a second?
thank you, Rolando, and we have Chuck and Dan here, and we're gonna
Dan.
talk about both of these. We'll first start with the toddler-child bike track, and then pickleball courts after that.
Dan, I didn't even know you were here. Where were you? You're sitting behind the podium, I can't see you. Hi, nice to see you. Oh,
So as they're getting ready, Newtown has a toddler bike track that's at their community center. I was apprised of it by a few citizenry here that New Milford actually bring their kids
yeah.
down to Newtown. I was able to go down and take a look. It's very well used. It's a great, safe opportunity for youngsters to kind of learn how to ride their bike. So I asked Public Works and Dan, could you guys come up with a concept that would be, you know, relative for New Milford, and, you know, how would that look at Pettibone?
Yep, so we actually, Chuck and I took a ride down to Newtown, took a look at their setup. We were pretty impressed by it. And thought Pettibone would be a good location near the playground area for that.
Down towards where they exist now.
Correct.
Yeah, good.
That's great.
Did you try out the track and just checking?
On foot only?
Check.
Yeah, Yeah, we were too old to rent the bikes out they had, so
Uh-huh.
unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, so Chuck Ballard, design engineer. Yeah, Dan and I spent a lot of time, as well as Jack Healy and Victoria, heavily involved in what we're about to talk about here. So this is that pedal park, as well as we're going to get pickleball as well. So, like the mayor said, we were tasked with just kind of coming up with some conceptual drawings and seeing what we could fit down at John Pettibone. I'm sure a lot of you have been down there. This is the space we're talking. So these are the actual property lines for Pettibone. If you are not aware of what the town owns and doesn't own, that bottom right is actually owned by Kimberly Clark, just so you know. But the town does use that for the ball fields and practice fields, etc. But that is town property right there. The photo's a few years old. There's been some augments to the playground, I think, since that picture. Yeah, but generally speaking, that's probably the way it sits right now.
Just go back for a sec. Okay, so I see the playground and the little ball field there.
Yep.
Just, can you move your cursor so people could see approximately where you're thinking of doing what we're talking about
I'll have
now?
some pictures in a little bit, if that's okay.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this was it.
Oh, no. This is just the beginning, Katie.
All right, okay.
So with any project,
No,
you
I
know,
wanna
of
see.
this size, there's
I
gonna
have a
be some
question.
permitting and plans involved through zoning, et cetera. So, first thing we gotta do is get an updated site survey. We have a consultant on board, already. We're talking about $15,000 for that. The last survey was done in 2016 with some various work we did in site. Doesn't include everything that we need. Currently, there's an Eversource gas easement that goes basically right through the area we're going to be talking, as well as there's, not on this map now, but there's a sewer main, a storm drain that comes from Route 7. It's a lot of stuff in that grass area. So we got to locate everything, find it, mark it, and just make sure when we put anything in there, we're just going to not want to hit it. Next, pedal park. So we did talk with some manufacturers, and we came up with a concept design. The park itself would be $155,000. Site work performed by DPW, so a lot of the prep work would be in-house labor and staff. Screenings for the stone screenings would be the track. Again, the DPW would come in, about a 4 to 5 foot wide path, excavate down about 18 inches, put down some process space, put down some screenings on top of that, roll it, compact it. It would be ADA accessible, so you know, we talked about that earlier. We're looking at some ADA goals for the town. There's a lot of features into this and a lot of this project you'll see that will work towards those goals for the town. Track features, those will be installed by the manufacturer. So roughly $50,000 of this money is features alone. So that'll be the ramps, and I'll show you some pictures in a minute, ramps, tunnels, obstacles, etc. Those will be installed and warranted by the manufacturer. So that's delivery and everything. Ideal for children, you know, as soon as they get on a bike to, you know, teenager, etc. We're not looking to make this a hard, you know, adult course. This is going to be young children learn to ride. Every obstacle will have a bypass. If it's something they can't do, they could just happily cruise around the park all day and not do any obstacles. So we'll get. Yes.
I see the last item about the connectivity to the parking lot. Is that going to be a new parking area you're going to make?
Nope. So as part of this plan, and we'll get to that, this will be just a rehabilitation of what's there, as well as some sidewalks that connect the parking lot to the pedal park, as well as a sidewalk that connects everything to the playground on the other side.
There isn't a parking lot now to the playground. People park up by the building and walk over, right?
They do.
Yes, they do. So, and at times there is a lack of space for parking. That's why, because so many people use the building, other than the 3 agencies that are there. That's why I'm just curious where.
And you know, in discussions, we talked about that a lot, because not only there's agencies there Monday through Friday that get pretty busy as well, but now we're gonna bring an attraction to this site that
And we have use of that area, as you know very well, Dan, on Saturdays and some Sundays.
Oh, yeah, it's used
Right.
most days.
Right.
So we are proposing some improvements, and I'll
Okay.
show you that in a minute.
Can't wait.
But again, just for some cost-wise, site work will be in kind. DPW would be a lot of site work ahead of the game, and materials about 10,000. The features itself will be 50. The sidewalk will provide the connectivity, ADA compliance. So the total pedal park with sidewalks about $155,000. Now here's some features in Southbury, correct?
Newtown.
I'm sorry, Newtown. As you can see, the wood board ramps with a bypass in the background. You could see some hoops kids can drive through, some ramps in the background, some elevated structures, both big and small, tunnels, cones, obstacles, etc. Again, these are low maintenance items. So if you're looking for, if we project out cost-wise, between park and rec and highway maintenance going forward, maintenance would be very low. Generally speaking, this could be all done in-house unless there's something fatally happens to one of the parts or pieces of the
How
features.
long has this in Newtown been there?
They say 2 years.
Yeah, a couple years now, they said, yeah. Yep.
Speaking up or listen.
Yeah, would that be something that we look at, like we ask them, like you can communicate with them to see, where they went wrong in some of the areas?
Yeah, well, we met them on site, and we
Okay.
did have some open discussion about them, about how they maintain these, and to my knowledge, they didn't really push back on any of the items they bought.
No, they didn't have any complaints,
Yeah.
and they thought the maintenance was very low.
Yeah.
Because it's crushed, it's stone dust.
Yeah, I see
compacted, So
that.
that's your biggest thing. is-
Yeah.
They didn't have anything to say, don't put that there.
No.
They didn't have anything
But it
like
looks
that.
like a great place for kids, really.
They had
That's what
one
you
instance, I think, of vandalism, spray paint, of course,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
could happen
That's
anywhere. But, where they are, there is kind of in the back of a building area, so it's kind of dark and dimly lit. Where we're proposing, it's a little more wide open, so we're hoping that wouldn't be the case where we're proposing it.
That little boardwalk, serpentine boardwalk,
Yep.
is that something we would do?
We're looking at a bunch of different features.
Something similar, yeah.
Looks like fun.
This is awesome, totally supported. Question, how do we keep the older kids off of it?
You mean us?
That's not gonna
That's not fair.
High school kids that are just looking to have some fun and see it there.
What's our insurance think about this?
Fine, just add it on as a rider. I think signage first, right? This is for toddlers and
Yeah.
Signage and which
being
direction
respectful.
is Directional signals, so that the kids know you're supposed to go one way, not go
Right.
both ways at the same time.
And that area is very trafficked and is very visible.
I see that, yeah, and ours is
That
too.
area, I don't think, Ari's, to answer your question, I don't think that'll be a problem in that area. Like
Because
he
it's
was saying,
key.
in Newtown, maybe it would because it's hitting in the back, but not here.
You know where the park is, right? Down on, yeah, so those are usually little kids that are there.
Most teenagers would be caught dead there.
I was thinking that myself,
And then
yeah.
the dog park always has a lot of
Because there'll be
people
little
there.
kids there, yeah.
No, very true.
Very nice. So that's the total, the 155 or whatever you came up with?
So, yes, if we just go back to that.
Okay.
So pedal bark right now, we're estimating 155,000. That's site work, materials, the features, and the sidewalk. And we'll just get to that overall image.
There you go.
So to the left is the existing parking lot. The building would be a little bit more farther to the left. It's out of picture. So that's the proposed area, and I'll just jump real quick to this picture. That's Pickett District looking into the park right now.
Right.
That big grass space is where we're talking to put it. Again, it's close to Pickett District, it's close to the parking lot, and it's just to the other side of the existing playground now. And we are proposing a sidewalk that connects everything all together. So again, we'll go back to ADA requirements that you see we're being faced with. This connects all the features of the park right there together, so they can access one playground or both. We'll talk about parking a little bit later, but now this will add some more parking possibilities for both parks, the playground that's there now and this pedal park as well. Included with this will be 4 benches, 2 picnic tables, and 2 bike racks that will be coming in this package. So kids will have a spot, or parents will have a spot to sit down, have a picnic. There's already existing benches there on site.
Right.
So we will kind of contour sidewalks around these areas just to make it, a place to go and hang out, make it friendly for everyone. But we felt location-wise it was ideal. It's close enough to the parking lot, so if families are lugging bikes and things, it's close there. But there is some separation from Pickett District because there's a fence, and as well as there's some guide rail with chain link fence, chain separating from the parking lot. So it is a big space. It's green now. Not a lot of site alterations. It's fairly flat. The only thing we have to watch for, again, there's some sewer mains and gas mains in that grass area, so we just have to locate them and just make sure they're out of our way before we dig.
Do you need a sidewalk? It's $95 bill.
Do we need a sidewalk?
Yeah. The sidewalk is more expensive than anything.
Yeah, they don't have one now. They get over there.
The benches and stuff is included in the 155?
Correct. Yep.
Some people donate that stuff. They want to put Paul's name on it.
Is that?
They donate it. No, I'm serious.
Is that the park? I'm trying to read it. It's dirt and gravel parking to the
So
right?
currently for the playground, that's a dirt and gravel parking lot
Yeah,
for
you
the
never know.
playground.
Donate one.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
So if we move on, pickleball.
Let's keep to the next one. Jesus.
Where would they
at
be?
Newtown as well. They had pickleball courts recently done. There's been quite a few towns have do it around. There's indoor pickleball courts. I know Dan has fielded many hundreds of calls about pickleball
Yeah,
courts.
everybody's looking for more courts, more places to play. Right now, we have Young's Field, but they're sharing it with tennis players, and that's always not a good mix, because everybody's trying to get out on the court at the same time. So we definitely have the request. I think for the last 3 years, pickleball is the biggest growing activity in the United States for the past 3 years, and it keeps growing. So we're getting calls all the time looking for more places to play.
So let's see where it's going to
There's a
go.
new paddle. Padel.
Yeah, Padel is new.
Padel is
That's
coming in hard. Yeah, not quite sure what it is, but it's very, very popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a raised platform.
Yeah.
Okay. So we reached out to a couple consultants on this one. We were focused on 3 courts with a total footprint of 122 by 64. We were looking at post-tension concrete. This provides, it's a higher upfront cost, but maintenance in the long run far outweighs, in our opinion, the initial upfront cost. This comes with a 50-year structural warranty, so if you go down to Youngs Field Road now, you'll see every year or two, you're doing surface repairs, crack repairs, heaving. With this frost we got right now, I can't imagine what it looks like just because of what's underneath that wet ground. And the location is about the same. It's flat and it's low, but it's wet too. So we do have to be careful about what we choose to put there. So post-tension concrete provides great long-lasting durability. Again, it does have a little bit of a higher upfront cost, but you get that long-term use out of it, and you lower that maintenance cost going forward. A particular manufacturer has a 50-year structural warranty, a 10-year warranty on their surface treatments. This plan does include lighting, a covered bench areas inside, it's fencing all around, as well as dividers between the courts. This includes sidewalks to and from, again, for access to the courts, as well as the ADA plan.
Is there any chance of, I know it's kind of wet there, is it any chance of it ever being wet enough that it would cover the court?
On this particular location, no. So this is a little bit in the back, I'll show in a minute.
Right.
Where this is going to be, there's no expectation.
Okay, good.
So the breakdown of costs, site work would be DPW, so there are some existing septic fields from the old high school, or from the old school that were abandoned. So there's just some structures we just have to explore and then formally abandon. I've already talked with the health department on that. We do not expect any issues on that.
Oh, the septic?
The old septic fields.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
some old distribution boxes out in the field there. Basically where this is going used to be a playground too, so there's some old mulch we gotta get rid of. We don't wanna put the court over that. So we do have some materials for the process base and some topsoil afterwards. Construction, we figured 350,000. Electrical work, because it will need some power, 5,000 for the contractor, and then sidewalk for this one is 65,000. For pickleball, total about 4.25 here.
So you have lights, is that intended for the evening play?
Correct.
That's right.
So this would be, 12 light heads on the court only, so they could extend their playable
Yeah.
hours.
No, that's good.
As
And we're gonna
determined.
install, as the high school does, they're gonna be automatic locks,
Oh, good.
automatic time for lights, so it can be done via phone like they do at the high school. We'll probably charge for use, and there will be times there will be 4 kids. So there'll be certain hours, it'll be locked so the kids can get it, so not just all the adults hog it. There's a chance for some younger kids to use the pickleball courts. And I'll go through Dan and Park and Rec.
And here's some examples. So this is 3 courts, about the same size with lighting and fencing.
Where is that in relation to the building?
Well, this is just in Hartford. This is something that was built in Hartford.
Oh,
This is not on site.
Oh, I was gonna say, you did a nice job.
Yep. This is a 4-court system, but it has the dividing fences between the courts, just to give you an idea of what that would look like. The plan that we're proposing does have shade structures between the courts, similar to this. This is the area. This is on the back side of the building.
Kind of where Three Brothers, between us and Three Brothers,
Yep.
kind of in that area.
Up where it goes up?
No, very south of the building.
Okay. And how much of the, where are they gonna park?
So right now, they will be having sidewalks. We'll be directing them to, basically they can park on either side. It depends on which side they want to go to. The parking lot rehabilitation would be on the east side, but we'll get to that. There's a bigger picture. Parking lot rehab. So what we found is that if we're going to have more people come to this as a destination, we're going to need more parking. Right now, there's about 30 spots available. A lot of people park in the grass and the sand and the mud. What we propose to do is rehab the entire parking lot and expand it by about 27 spaces on that east side of the building. So it's
On
a
the
full,
east side?
on the east side of the building,
Okay,
correct.
Okay, so make sure.
Where, on the side where the playground is.
Yep, okay.
So it is a full depth reclamation with paving, 26 spots. We do have to move some lighting, so that will entail just some electrical costs. Highway can do the physical move of the structures. We'll include some updated ADA stalls, crosswalks, and pavement markings. The cost breakdown, site work would be in kind for what we can do, but because of the full depth reclamation and paving, it would be contracted out for this one. 64,000 for that. Materials would be about 55,000. Electrical work 20, and pavement markings in the end that brings it up to 141. And
So these, the park and what you're just talking about, the pickleball courts, that neither of those require anybody or have anybody access inside Pettibone?
Correct.
Correct.
That, because, you know, we don't have the right to turn that building into more than what's there now.
yeah, at this point, our proposal does not have anyone inside that building.
That's good,
This is
okay.
all exterior work. Electrical is outside.
So,
So this is the way the parking lot exists now.
right.
Are there any like porta potties near there or anything? Like if we got kids using the bicycles and other people using the,
Yeah, currently we have them at the softball field, playground and softball field, but we're looking further to
what we're gonna do for the
Right.
future plan. And are the porta potties accessible, like if somebody?
Yeah, you mean ADA? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of the parks have them in town, Youngsfield has them, they are accessible and.
So is the purple, I'm sorry, just, but Chuck, the purple?
So the purple would be the proposed parking lot rehab, so if I just go back one slide, you'll see how the building side of the parking lot doesn't go all the way down, so the right side would extend all the way down, the left side would be a little bit further.
And you're gonna take that grassy area and turn that into parking closer to the building?
Correct. So that long strip against the building, would be continued all the way down.
Well, some people park there now, you know.
They do, and that's the problem. So there's parking there now, let's just make it dedicated parking.
Okay. And you won't change the driveway that goes around the building or anything?
That'll still be one way around the back. The only thing we would widen is kind of this little lower piece where it goes to that gravel road.
Yes.
That little gravel road will kind of reconfigure to get it more towards that corner a little bit, but that backside will remain one way around the back, so there'll be one-way signs, etc.
And would we be able to, this mayor, I should ask you, would we be able to sign, say, in a certain part, for instance, Thursdays is the food bank. Thursdays might be a heavy-duty pickleball day too, but the people who come to pick up their groceries need to have that space there. So could we have signs, just like we do for ADA or, handicap, could we do that to some of that area?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would recommend that people that are playing pickleball park on the Route 7. So.
I would too. I would recommend that too, but you never know where they're gonna park. No, I just, like Thursdays is food bank, please don't park here unless you're, that, we could be kind about it.
I think what we were trying to do is focus on one side of the building, include a lot of ADA upgrades and sidewalk upgrades. As we heard earlier, there's going to be a lot that's mandatory anyways. And then as, procure funding for this all in one source and get it all done at one time. And that takes care of the east side of the building, sidewalk improvements, parking lots, and done. When we go to address the other side of the building at one point in the future, then there's still room for, there's plenty of parking there now, that's not going away. So yes, pickleball players could park there on that side. But for now, we were just trying to focus on this one side of the building and stick to those.
Okay.
Overall, this is just, we'll back out to the full view of that site, just so you just get a feel of how big that site is and what it would look like. And there's still plenty of parking on the other side for Camilla's Covered or the school drop-offs. We'll just have to talk logistics as we work through this a little bit more.
Yes, we have to.
And some signage, etc. And then, side note, also on this same property, we are doing a sidewalk project, and this is not the Route 7 sidewalk project. This is a community connectivity grant program that we received through the state of Connecticut. We did phase 1, which is that piece that comes down from the diner. It's in gray on the left there. Comes down from the diner and ties into the Route 7 piece. Phase 2, which will be out for bid shortly, will be that purple piece on the top that goes from the corner of Route 7 to Pickett District down to the parking lot that we propose to renovate. So that, again, more connectivity through another grant, which has already been provided. And then later down the road, that piece in the yellow, the top right there, that'll just be the whole rest of the property as well. So.
Walkway, you talking about
Sidewalk.
sidewalks?
Yep.
Yeah, excellent.
So yeah, we've been very
Ron,
fortunate.
do you have a question?
No, we're voting on this together? An A and B or separate?
You just have a motion for A at the moment.
We're just talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Right now, we're just talking.
Okay. The 141 is on top of the
We have a motion in
465?
a second, Rolando, that you made for the
Yeah,
D,
yeah.
so that's
I'm sorry,
what
what's
we're
that?
really discussing.
The 141 is on top of the 465?
So if I just go for
There
totals,
we
for
go.
everything that I talked
That's
about
what
right
we're saving to
now.
last.
So this is
Great.
everything. So,
Oh my God.
standard 10% contingency in big projects like this, we're at 809,600 for total everything that we talked about today.
Any of this
Now-
coming out of
And
grants?
can I,
Now, we applied for a $50,000 T-Mobile grant for the park.
Is this something we can use the waste management?
How'd you know, Paul?
right.
How did you know?
And I have a
Because we just spent part of this evening trying to save taxpayers' money, and now we're gonna spend $809,000.
No.
That's why we would be looking at the landfill settlement
Let's
fund
use
for
it, let's use that money.
Yeah, me too.
Where's the pool going?
Pool.
Where's the pool?
No pool.
It could be the next phase, you never
Hey,
know.
Got a lot of
hey,
lakes.
hey. So, Chuck, I don't want to be a downer here, but when you say that it'll be in-kind work and DPW will do work, do you have any idea, just a guesstimate of, you know, what that value is? Because if you're doing that, you're not over here fixing that bridge.
Correct. So we did estimate for the pedal track already. I don't have hours. It comes down to hours,
just,
right?
Yeah, just
So the
dollars.
pedal track itself, we're digging about, you know, we'll call it about 500 feet of a 4-foot lane. So it'll be about, say, 3 weeks of a small crew doing site work preparation for the pedal track.
So about half a mil? No, just
Yeah.
How many people play this pickle thing?
Yeah, pickleball.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
great.
for
It's-
years, Sal, for years, I have had people ask me. And we talked many years ago, Pete, about putting it somewhere there by Pettibone, and here it's gonna happen, maybe.
You could have, Sal, you could have tournaments down there. I mean,
Yes.
there'll be hundreds of people down there. Ask
Yeah.
Dan, he'll tell you.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You can't get into the gym, they play in there all the time.
Oh, I believe it.
Sal, maybe you'd like to try the game. Okay, so, what do you say? Can we do the first one, Pete?
Yeah.
You wanna move?
You can have chess.
Stephanie, just wait.
can have
We
little
only have A,
tables.
we did not go into the second part.
No, but you can have them there.
Okay, so the first, item A was strictly the toddler and child bike track at JPCC. And that value for that came to the lesser amount. There you go,
155,000.
okay.
Say up to.
Up to.
That means if we get grants, we can then reduce.
Yes, right, yes. Not greater than, as we say. Okay, so that's our motion. It's been seconded. Mayor?
With the amount, all right?
Yes.
I said
Okay.
up to 155,000.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you.
And one ab, okay. 14B, I'd like to move that we take action and approve the funding for the creation and operation of 3 pickleball courts at John Pettibone Community Center. And boy, Seal, I hope you're watching this video. Okay,
And the
need a
funding,
second.
if approved by town council and board of finance, would be through the landfill settlement fund.
Okay, could I have a second on this last one, please?
No taxpayer.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Okay, so we have a second.
Do you have an up to amount on this one?
Want to give me that? Up to?
Up
Oh.
to 425.
I have 2 sets of glasses. Can you see that, Chuck? I can't go both ways. Okay. So,
Who's second, Mary Jane?
up to $425,000. And do we want to put a note in here, Mayor, about the,
Landfill settlement?
Yes,
Yep.
okay.
I thought that was part of it.
Okay, so,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And that-
Wonderful.
What about parking?
What about it?
I thought
The
parking
parking
was
lot
part of the whole
rehab?
project.
I'd have to add, yes, I have, it's not an item on here, on our
It
agenda.
is in the proposal. It's recommended just because obviously we're making this a destination.
Yes.
We would like to see safer parking, ADA stalls,
Can we wait?
Okay,
connectivity.
so,
Can we
so is
wait?
this parking going to have people that play pickleball get in this parking?
It'd be connected for both. So
Again, so I'm gonna ask, if I'm playing pickleball, am I gonna be able to use that parking lot over there?
yes,
Okay, if I'm over there with my grandson and he's gonna go on the bike thing, can I park there?
yes, it is
Okay,
designed.
so Randy,
Recreation.
so that's recreational, so then because of that, we can access landfill settlement fund.
All right. But it's not that.
The
isn't-
141
it's
wasn't
not
included in
here.
the other number when we.
Yeah, I would include it. Randy, should we include it in one of these projects?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a public hearing on this?
Oh, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, just hold on, so.
It's gonna go to Board of Finance, and then it's gotta go to a town meeting, right? Over?
Do we want to add it to the toddler and child bike, or do we want to split it between the
pickleball.
pickle?
The
Okay,
pickleball one.
pickleball, 425 plus, what was it, 141?
141.
Cha-ching, excuse me, out there, I didn't mean to say that. Okay, so
And-
that comes to $566,000?
Plus the 10%.
That was adding
There-
27?
Now, this is going up for bid, right?
Just a sec. Hold on a minute, Rolando.
I'm asking.
Is that adding 27 more spaces?
Yes.
26, I thought.
Most.
26 more
It was
spaces.
$141,000 to add
Okay.
26 more.
So.
Okay, let's
Rolando-
amend.
So before we vote, Rolando, you'd ask a question, would this go out to bid?
Yes, especially
So-
like the electrical stuff.
So real quick, the mill and pave would be the contractor that we bid for all of our road jobs, the one or two that we would have. They would be the ones that would be doing that kind of work. The electrical work, I'm assuming we're gonna be using the same town electrical award bid awards, or are we gonna do our own bid on it?
For a lot of these construction items, we have consultants in place. We have bids that are already in place for road reconstruction, for electrical, et cetera. The one piece that's not would be the actual pickleball court, right? Or
Well, that's done by
features. So
a company
that would either, I'd have to, conforming to purchasing requirements, it could either be bid or off a sourcing list that's approved.
Pickleball courts need a experienced, I'll say professional service company or whatever to put them in.
Absolutely.
100%.
So that is part of your figure up there.
Yes.
Thank you, Chuck. That's the right answer.
Okay.
So
So we have
passed
the-
the motion, are you making a new motion to? or you-
I am going to, Stephanie, but we're still having some conversation.
just-
Take it easy.
Just one more thing I want to add in with the numbers. In this proposal, we were hoping to include the contingency just for any unknowns. If there was a way to include that in the overall project, but I know we're splitting it up, so. What's that?
Split it in half.
Well, that's a pretty good size contingency.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, if I add up the 140, the 155
That's
and
over
our
$1 million.
566,
That's $1
that
million.
comes to 721, which minus from 810, we'll round up, nice of you not to do that, 810 minus 721, so is this contingency?
Leave it without it right now.
Yeah, that's what I think too, because you don't know. I think you might do this for
We'll be
less.
all right.
All right, so
We'll do
can
our
I
best.
amend, we already voted on the,
You already voted and passed it.
we voted on B, so what do you want to do? Add it in? SC?
No, you'd add it into.
Yeah, I added it in already to B.
Can they amend the motion they already passed?
I can I?
Randy, can we just amend the motion?
Okay.
you.
I'd like to amend item 14B to include the figure for the operation on 3 pickleball courts at JPCC creation.
And parking lot.
And parking lot, that the total figure will be $566,000. That's adding the parking lot in.
And make sure in the minutes it reflects that if approved by town council and board of finance in a town meeting, these funds would come from the landfill settlement fund.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody.
God, I do hope you're watching Seal, or somebody tells you.
Motion to adjourn?
I like that.
Do we have a motion to adjourn, or we could stay here a while?
Yes, motion to adjourn? Seconded?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
3 o'clock Sunday, let me buy you a beer, please.
Okay, so I have a copy of this.